Chapter 76. Are you here for Ye Wuwei? Li Jian and Li Hu were both dumbfounded. What the hell? Aren't you here to deliver promotion documents? Seeing everyone looking stunned, Hu Dianchen frowned slightly, wondering what these people were doing. Zhang Chunlin was the first to react and said loudly, Commander Hu, are you sure you are here to see Ye Wuwei? Hu Dianchen nodded, not bad. Hearing this, Zhang Chunlin pointed to the inside of Li's house on one side and said, he is inside. I'll have someone call him out right away. Hu Dianchen waved his hand, no, I'll go in and find him. After saying that, he held his head high, walked past Li Jian, and strode towards the door of Li's house. The conductor of the military band made a gesture, played various instruments, and followed Hu Dianchen closely. The rest of the War Department changed their formation, lined up in 2 rows, and followed behind. Wherever Hu Dianchen passed, all the guests gave way and looked at him with respect. It wasn't until everyone in the War Department passed through the gate of Li's house that all the guests gathered around Li Jian and said in surprise, Brother Li, what is going on? Yeah, aren't they here to deliver promotion documents? Third uncle, will Brother Tiger be promoted to general? Facing everyone's questions, Li Jian blushed with shame. This, I don't know what's going on. Li Jian hesitated and couldn't answer at all. He looked at Li Hu, who was doubting his life as if asking for help, hoping that Li Hu could give an explanation. Because Li Hu had been communicating with the War Department, he didn't know the specific situation at all. Sensing Li Jian's gaze, Li Hu opened his mouth but stopped talking. He was very sure that the documents for his promotion to a 1-star general had been issued and had arrived at the Zhangzhou War Department. What went wrong? What is Hu Dianchen looking for Ye Wuwei for? Li Hu took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, let's go in and take a look first. He was a little unconvinced. The documents for his promotion to a 1-star general were not worthy of Hu Dianchen's gift, so what did Hu Dianchen give to Ye Wuwei? He wanted to see what was written on that plaque. Li Hu quickly followed the people in the War Department, wanting to see what kind of aircraft Hu Dianchen and Ye Wuwei were working on. Seeing this, the eyes of all the guests flashed, and they followed with strong curiosity. Soon, a group of people came outside the hall. Everyone in the War Department quickly changed their formations. Li Hu and others stood on both sides as spectators. In the hall, Lu Yuehua and others were talking when they suddenly saw such a large group of people coming, and they were a little surprised. Lu Yuehua was confused and asked, what is this for? Li Xian shook his head, who knows? It looks like there's going to be some kind of ceremony. Li Hu's pomp is so grand. Li Qingyan pointed at Li Hu in the crowd, shook her head and said, Li Hu is standing in the crowd like a spectator. This ceremony should have nothing to do with him. Hearing this, Lu Yuehua, Li Xian, Zhang Shui and others all looked at Li Hu in the crowd. Seeing Lu Yuehua and others looking at him, Li Hu's face darkened and veins popped up on his forehead. Next to him, Li Jian's face turned red and he was extremely embarrassed. Ye Wuwei smiled faintly, stood up slowly, looked at Hu Dianchen outside the hall, and said, you are here for me. As soon as these words came out, Li Qingyan and others were all shocked and speechless. Outside the hall, amidst the vigorous military music, Hu Dianchen put on a pair of brand new gloves and straightened his body. Salute. Hu Dianchen gave a deep drink. Whoosh. He raised his arm and saluted Ye Wuwei with a serious face. Behind him, the elite Zhangzhou War Department all saluted Ye Wuwei. Seeing this scene, Li Qingyan and others' eyes shone and their hearts were filled with joy. When Nian saw so many people saluting Ye Wuwei, her big and bright eyes instantly became extremely bright. She looked at Ye Wuwei with admiration, raised her hand excitedly, and saluted Ye Wuwei. Seeing his daughter's cute and well-behaved appearance, Ye Wuwei smiled and rubbed the little guy's head, his eyes filled with adoration. The ceremony is over. Hu Dianchen shouted again and put down his arm. Hu Dianchen, the Commander-in-Chief of the Zhangzhou War Department, came here to present Mr. Ye with the War Dragon Medal on the orders of the War Department headquarters. Thank you Mr. Ye for your contribution to Daxia. Although Mr. Ye is no longer in the army, Daxia will never forget every drop of blood shed for Daxia, and Daxia will always remember it. Hu Dianchen's voice was rich and full of momentum. Sound waves continue to spread and reverberate inside and outside the hall, lasting for a long time. Hearing the words War Dragon Medal, everyone except Hu Dianchen and Lu Pianon were stunned. Even Ye Wuwei was no exception. Battle Dragon Medal. It turned out to be the Battle Dragon Medal. Since the founding of Daxia, no more than 10 people have received the War Dragon Medal. If you want to get special military merit, you basically have to go through the gate of hell. But if you want to get the War Dragon Medal, you have to go in and out of the Hell Gate and become familiar with the bullhead horse face. Every recipient of the Order of the Dragon. They are all god-level figures who shed their blood for Daxia and created miracles one after another on the battlefield. Everyone has a soul-stirring legend. Even after dozens or hundreds of years, I will still be in awe when I hear their stories. It will make every son and daughter of Daxia unable to help but yearn for it, eager to live in the same era as those peerless figures and witness their supreme grace with their own eyes. Because history books cannot fully describe their grace. At this moment, there was dead silence outside and inside the hall. Many people forgot to breathe and stared at Ye Wuwei blankly. What earth-shattering things has he done? What kind of legendary existence is he? Why haven't you heard of his legend? Li Hu, Li Jian, Li Rumen, Kui Ming, and others were all stunned. Unexpectedly, what Hu Dianchen sent was the War Dragon Medal. The War Dragon Medal is the supreme honor that even the god of war of Great Xia wants to obtain. Such a precious War Dragon Medal actually appeared in the Li family tonight. At this time, Hu Dianchen waved his hand. A man in military uniform holding a sandalwood box strode forward and walked to Hu Dianchen. The sandalwood box is exquisitely crafted and looks like it was made by a famous craftsman. Hu Dianchen opened the box and took out a medal as big as a fist with both hands. The most eye-catching thing on the medal is a lifelike dragon. The dragon's beard flutters and its mouth opens wide, giving off a supreme aura of swallowing up mountains and rivers. All 4 claws are spread out, giving people a powerful feeling of tearing everything apart. And the most wonderful thing is the pair of dragon eyes, which are bright, domineering, fierce and look down on the world. Hu Dianchen was holding the War Dragon Medal, and he had an illusion in a trance. The dragon was staring at him. Below the dragon is the territory of Daxia. The entire War Dragon Medal is the image of a divine dragon swallowing mountains and rivers to protect Daxia. Hu Dianchen held the War Dragon Medal in both hands, looked at Ye Wuwei, and solemnly said, "Mr. Yet." Hearing the sound, Ye Wuwei, who had been slightly absent-minded just now, came back to his senses. As determined as he is, he was a little distracted just now. He thought of his dead comrades. At that time, they also dreamed about the possibility of getting the Battle Dragon Medal. If possible, the entire Lanja 1st Brigade will be remembered in history. Now the Battle Dragon Medal is ahead. But I couldn't share the good news with them. Call. Ye Wuwei took a deep breath and bent down to hold Nian Nian's hand. Then, he stretched out his other hand towards Li Qingyan. Li Qingyan, who was still in shock, saw Ye Wuwei reaching out and stretched out his hand in a daze. Then, Ye Wuwei held Nian Nian while holding Li Qingyan. Step by step towards the medal that represents the highest glory. Chapter 77. Come to the front of the War Dragon Medal. Looking at the War Dragon Medal so close at hand, Ye Wuwei sighed. He simply asked Seat 4 to give him an unimpeded identity. As a result, the 4th seat was directly awarded the War Dragon Medal. To give the War Dragon Medal, you must get the consent of the Elder Council. In other words, the Council of Elders agreed with the 4th seat's opinion. This is a recognition of Ye Wuwei's contribution to Daxia over the years. It is also a shackles. Because he is now the master of the Temple of Punishment, and is no longer the captain of the 1st Brigade of Dragon Teeth, codenamed Shura. Ye Wuwei suppressed his ups and downs and took the Dragon War Medal. The honor represented by this Battle Dragon Medal is not his alone. It is the common glory of his dead comrades and the 4 kings of the Temple of Punishment. It is an affirmation of every drop of blood they shed for Daxia. Congratulations, Mr. Yet. Hu Dianchen breathed a sigh of relief and congratulated him. Before arriving, Chen Chaozong, the commander-in-chief of the War Department, personally called Hu Dianchen and told him that Ye Wuwei might refuse to accept the War Dragon Medal. Because accepting the Battle Dragon Medal means not only accepting the glory brought by the Battle Dragon Medal, but also a heavy responsibility. Ye Wuwei knew this very well. Naturally, the senior members of the Elders' Council and the War Department also understood. Ye Wuwei nodded towards Hu Dianchen, "Thank you for your hard work." Hu Dianchen shook his head repeatedly and said it was not hard. He is self-aware that he is just an errand boy, so it cannot be called hard work. At this time, Ye Wuwei discovered that Nian Nian was standing on tiptoes, stretching his neck hard to see what the War Dragon Medal looked like. "Here. Ye Wuwei lovingly handed the battle dragon medal to Nian Nian. Wow, the little guy held the war dragon medal, looked at the lifelike dragon protecting the country on the medal, and let out an exclamation. Then, she raised her head and said in a childish voice, "Dad, you are so awesome." This emotional value is directly filled up. As soon as these words came out, Ye Wuwei felt relaxed and felt warm all over. If others praise him, he won't even raise an eyebrow. However, this is the most sincere compliment from my precious daughter. Ye Wuwei rubbed Nian Nian's little head and said with a smile, "You will definitely be more powerful than Dad in the future." Yet, Nian Nian nodded heavily and couldn't put it down while holding the dragon medal. "Mr. Ye, this is a plaque sent from the imperial capital. Come and unveil the red cloth." Hu Dianchen pointed to the plaque behind him and said with a smile. Hearing this, Ye Wuwei turned his head to look at Li Qingyan and said softly, "Qingyan, go ahead." At this time, Li Qingyan had gradually come back to her senses. After hearing Ye Wuwei's words, Li Qingyan did not remove the red cloth, but turned her head to look at Ye Wuwei. Tears welled up in her eyes, and she said guiltily and sadly, "I'm sorry, I thought you were a gangster before." Ye Wuwei told her before that after retiring from the army, he started a business outside the country. In the process of starting a business, he made a lot of contributions to Daxia. At that time, Li Qingyan didn't quite believe this sentence. After all, how can you contribute to Daxia by starting a business outside the region? Now that Daxia has given Ye Wuwei the highest honor of the War Dragon Medal, it has surpassed all explanations. The temple founded by these brothers must be an excellent organization that loves peace, is kind and friendly, and cares about the motherland. Hearing Li Qingyan's words, the corners of Hu Dianchen's mouth twitched and his eyelids twitched wildly. Underworld? Low-end gadgets like those from the underworld are not even worthy of carrying shoes for the Temple of Punishment. Zushan Temple is the ancestor of the underworld, and there are countless levels in between. Wang Biao grinned and said secretly, "The palace master's wife is really good at joking. The underworld is not worthy of carrying shoes for her, let alone Mr. Ye. It's okay." Ye Wuwei gently wiped away the tears on Li Qingyan's face with a gentle smile. Seeing this scene, everyone who knew the identity of the master of Ye Wuwei's Temple of Punishment sighed in their hearts. Only Miss Li can make Hall Master Ye show such a gentle smile. The gentle and considerate man in front of her is an iron-blooded dark devil outside. Looking at the gentle-looking Ye Wuwei, Li Qingyan felt warm in her heart. She burst into tears and smiled, showing an excited look like a little girl, and said, "Then I'm going." Ye Wuwei nodded with a smile. Seeing this warm scene, Li Xian and Lu Yuehua cuddled together, their eyes were filled with relief and their eyes were moist. Li Rumen in the crowd was envious and jealous, and his face kept changing. However, she has realized that she and Li Qingyan are no longer in the same world. She wanted to compete with Li Qingyan everywhere, but she couldn't compete with Li Qingyan anywhere. An endless feeling of powerlessness enveloped Li Rumen. Under everyone's gaze, Li Qingyan walked to the plaque covered with red cloth. She grabbed a corner of the red cloth and pulled it off the plaque. 4 vigorous and powerful characters, like iron-painted silver hooks, are exposed in sight. Everything is fine. Seeing these 4 words, Ye Wuwei was shocked. The next sentence of "the mountains and rivers are safe" means that everything is safe in the world. But in Longja, the mountains and rivers are safe and sound, it usually appears in another sentence, "Fight and survive, sacrifice is mine." The state is in ruins, but the country is safe. The country is suffering, and through endless struggle, even if it costs me, the country will be safe. It is this sentence that inspires generations of strong men in Longya to continue their work. At this time, the 4th seat presented the plaque "The mountains and rivers are safe." It is an affirmation of the contribution made by Longja 1st Brigade. It is also a recognition of all the efforts made by Zushan Temple to protect Daxia in recent years. While Li Qingyan let out an exclamation. She quickly ran to Ye Wuwei's side, hugged one of Ye Wuwei's arms, raised her head in admiration, and whispered, "It's amazing. I feel that your figure is so majestic and tall." Ye Wuwei was not humble either. He shook his body and said with a smile, "That's natural." Many guests had their sight blocked and tried to stand on tiptoes to read the words on the plaque. Business tycoons and martial arts seniors all ignored their dignity and stood directly on the chairs, looking over their heads to read the words on the plaque. When I saw the 4 characters "the mountains and rivers are safe," my heart was shocked. What a high rating! But this is reasonable. If you have not made a huge contribution, you will not be able to obtain the War Dragon Medal. Congratulations, Mr. Ye. Ma Fiyang bowed respectfully towards Ye Wuwei. Seeing this, the group of business tycoons around him followed closely, and at the same time bent towards Ye Wuwei. Congratulations, Mr. Ye. Wang Biao immediately led a group of martial arts masters and bent down. Congratulations, Mr. Ye. This is the most sincere and noble tribute. A recipient of the Order of the Dragon. Although I don't know what he did for Daxia, what is certain is that his contribution far exceeded everyone's imagination. Perhaps it was due to too much mental impact, or perhaps it was infected by invisible emotions. All the guests actually bowed towards Ye Wuwei at the same time and said loudly, "Congratulations Mr. Ye." Chapter 78. Seeing so many people bowing to Ye Wuwei at the same time, Li Qingyan felt proud and nervous. She moved her steps and hid behind Ye Wuwei, leaving only half of her face outside. The guests bent down to pay tribute, which highlighted Li Hu, Li Jian, and others in the crowd. Li Hu looked at Ye Wuwei with a shocked face, his mind could not calm down for a long time. Li Jian's face was complicated, with emotions such as excitement, shock, envy, etc. constantly emerging. Li Rumen, Li Tianming, and Wei Dong were stunned and could not recover for a long time. Li Jian quietly tugged on Li Hu's clothes and whispered, "Should we also bend down and pay tribute?" Hearing this, Li Hu came back to his senses. Tonight was supposed to be his time to steal the show. But all the limelight was stolen by Ye Wuwei. At first, Li Hu felt very unhappy and angry. But after the Battle Dragon Medal came out, all negative emotions were forcibly erased. As a middle-level member of the Central Region War Department, Li Hu knew better than these guests how rare the War Dragon Medal was. It's as difficult as climbing to heaven. Li Hu looked at Ye Wuwei and said seriously, "Ye Wuwei, congratulations." After that, he solemnly saluted Ye Wuwei. Li Hu is convinced. Convinced. He had no temper at being upstaged by such a person. Hearing this, Ye Wuwei nodded lightly towards Li Hu. Hu Dianchen looked around at everyone's reactions and was quite satisfied. He smiled and said, "Mr. Ye, the War Dragon Medal has been delivered, so I will leave first." He was very satisfied with everyone's reaction. Strong people like Ye Wuwei have long since gotten rid of material pursuits, and spiritual pursuits and identity are what they want. At this time, Zhang Chunlin from the crowd came out and said enthusiastically, "Commander Hu, you are here, let's have a quick meal before leaving." Hu Dianchen waved his hand politely, "No, the task has been completed. It is not convenient for me to disturb you too much." Zhang Chunlin leaned on a crutch with one hand and grabbed Hu Dianchen's wrist with the other, with a warm smile on her face. "What are you talking about? Don't bother, not at all. You are an honored guest that I can't even invite." Although Hu Dianchen did not come to deliver the promotion documents to Li Hu, what he sent was the War Dragon Medal, which was 10,000 times rarer than the promotion documents. Zhang Chunlin has never been so happy. If Li Hu is promoted to a one-star general in the Central Region War Department, he may lead the rise of the Li family in Dragon City. Then if Ye Wuwei gets this Battle Dragon Medal, he will definitely be able to create greater glory for the Li family in Dragon City. Seeing Zhang Chunlin's enthusiasm, Hu Dianchen was a little embarrassed. Lu Pianan, the governor of Zhangzhou on the side, smiled and said, "Old Hu, the old lady has already kindly asked me to stay, so don't refuse." This. Hu Dianchen was still a little hesitant. After all, the War Department has its own rules. His eyes couldn't help but fall on Ye Wuwei. Ye Wuwei nodded slightly and said, "Let's stay and have a meal. I still have some things that Commander Hu needs to take care of." Hearing this, Hu Dianchen straightened his body and shouted, "Yes." It is not an exaggeration to say that the recipient of the War Dragon Medal is the patron saint of Daxia. According to the established tradition, his status is equivalent to that of the god of war in Daxia. Ever since Ye Wuwei received the War Dragon Medal, his status in Daxia was equivalent to that of a god of war in Daxia. All Daxia generals must obey their orders when necessary. Seeing that Hu Dianchen agreed to stay for dinner, Zhang Chunlin was overjoyed and urged, "Old Chen, quickly arrange for these young men from the War Department to be seated." "Okay." The old housekeeper nodded repeatedly and quickly arranged for everyone in the War Department to take their seats. Zhang Chunlin walked towards Li Qingyan and Ye Wuwei and said with a smile, "Qingyan, Wuwei, hurry up and take your seats. This is such a great joy." Li Qingyan held Zhang Chunlin's arm and said with a smile, "Grandma, please slow down, your emotions are ups and downs. Ye Wuwei smiled lightly and said, "You guys sit down first, I still have something to say to Commander Hu." Upon hearing this, Hu Dianchen stepped forward quickly and said respectfully, "Mr. Ye, what are your instructions?" Ye Wuwei looked at the guests in the hall and whispered, "The matter of the battle dragon medal should not be spread to outsiders. Everyone who knows this matter must not leak it." Ye Wuwei was originally just looking for the fourth seat to have an identity that would allow him to travel unhindered in Daxia to facilitate his subsequent actions in Daxia. Unexpectedly, the fourth seat was directly presented with a War Dragon medal. No one in Daxia has been awarded the War Dragon medal for decades. If word spread that he had received the War Dragon medal, it would definitely attract the attention of countries outside the region and all top forces. By then, countless top experts must have sneaked into Dragon City to find out who the recipient of the Dragon War medal is. In this way, there are hidden dangers. First of all, the security threats to Li Qingyan and Nian have increased significantly. Secondly, Ye Wuwei's own whereabouts are easily exposed. Ordinary people don't know Ye Wuwei, but those top forces have collected a lot of information about Ye Wuwei. Once the top forces notice that the recipient of the War Dragon medal is the master of the Temple of Punishment, his next actions will be passive. The four mysterious organizations of Tian, Di, Yuan, and Qi have been Ye Wuwei's key targets. And Ye Wuwei has imprisoned Zhao Fenjian, who belongs to the Yuan organization. If these mysterious organizations follow the clues and realize the intention of killing the temple, they will definitely alert the snake. Therefore, when hidden dangers appear, they must be cut off. Seeing Ye Wuwei's solemn expression, Hu Dianchen knew that this matter was serious, so he immediately straightened his body and whispered, "This kind of matter can be handled more professionally by the special department. I will immediately ask for instructions and ask the shadow guards and shadow troops to dispatch. In addition, I will immediately ask people from my Zhangzhou War Department to guard the outside of Li's house. No one is allowed to leave the Li family until the shadow guards and shadow troops arrive." Dragon City is a large city with a population of tens of millions, and various special departments in Daxia have branches here. Shadow guards and shadow troops are naturally no exception. However, Hu Dianchen did not have the power to mobilize shadow guards and shadow troops, so he could only ask for instructions. Ye Wuwei nodded and said, "Go and do it immediately." Hu Dianchen saluted solemnly and quickly turned around to make arrangements. Seeing this, Ye Wuwei picked up Nian, turned around and walked towards the main table where Li Qingyan was. When he turned around, he accidentally glanced at Kui Ming, who was standing behind the crowd. Ye Wuwei's complexion remained as usual, and there was no ripple in the ancient well. "The Kui family in the capital of God? It will be your turn soon." This ordinary glance shocked Kui Ming, who was standing behind the crowd. Kui Ming's pupils shrank violently, he was horrified, and goosebumps appeared all over his body. He remembered. This person is Ye Fan who was supposed to drown in Longjiang back then. Didn't he say that when he was dying, he jumped into the Longjiang River? How on earth did he survive in the fast-flowing Longjiang River? No wonder he seemed familiar before. His appearance and temperament have undergone earth-shaking changes, and even his name has changed. But the look in his eyes did not change. It turned out to be him. It's him. Chapter 79. "Sir, what's wrong?" The grey-haired martial arts expert behind Kui Ming noticed Kui Ming's abnormality and asked with concern. Kui Ming lowered his head and whispered, "Don't talk, don't make any noise, walk quickly, get out of here quickly." His voice was urgent and vibrating. Invisible fear has penetrated into his bones. Ye Fan, who was supposed to die 6 years ago, is not only still alive, but also received the Battle Dragon medal. He didn't dare to stay here for a long time, he just wanted to leave as quickly as possible. This matter must be reported to the family and asked for a decision. In order not to attract attention, Kui Ming acted very cautiously. He first pretended to admire the rockery, then walked around the rockery and slowly approached the gate of Li's house. In the hall. As soon as Ye Wuwei sat down with Nian in his arms, Ye Lu came over and whispered, "Boss, that Mr. Kui seems to want to escape." After previously recognizing that Kui Ming was related to the siege incident that year, Ye Wuwei asked Ye Lu to pay attention to Kui Ming's movements. Hearing this, Ye Wuwei narrowed his eyes and looked at where Kui Ming was standing just now. There was no one there. Kui Ming and the two martial arts experts he brought had quietly left. Seeing this, Ye Lu whispered, "Bamboo forest." Ye Wuwei immediately looked at the small bamboo forest behind the rockery. 3 figures were seen. Ye Wuwei knew that Kui Ming recognized him. Leaving without saying goodbye just shows that Kui Ming has something wrong in his heart. Ye Wuwei curled up into a sneer and whispered, "Go to the gate and tell Hu Dianchen not to stop them. When they leave the Li family, follow them immediately. I'll be here soon." If Kui Ming wants to run away, then that's his wish. There are many people here and it is not convenient to take action. But, can he escape the Li family or Dragon City? Yes. Ye Lu stood up and ran straight towards the door of Li's house. The front door of Li's house. Hu Dianchen is directing people from the Zhangzhou War Department to guard the entrances and exits of the Li family. Ye Lu quickly came to Hu Dianchen and whispered, "Commander Hu, the 3 people from the Kui family in the divine capital will come out soon. Don't stop them, let them go." Hu Dianchen naturally knew Ye Lu, having met him at the Zhao family before. He frowned and asked doubtfully, "Is this what Hall Master Ye means?" Ye Lu nodded and rushed into a dark corner not far away. Upon seeing this, Hu Dianchen knew that Ye Wuwei should have other arrangements, so he did not dare to neglect and immediately conveyed what Ye Lu had just said. Immediately afterwards, Hu Dianchen moved his feet and ran to the corner where Ye Lu was hiding. Seeing that Hu Dianchen had also arrived, Ye Lu's face was full of black lines. He lowered his voice and said angrily, "What are you doing here?" Hu Dianchen grinned, "What did Lord Ye ask you to do? Let me see if I can contribute." There was a smile on his face, but Hu Dianchen felt uneasy in his heart. The Kui family in the capital of God? Why did Lord Ye focus on the Kui family in the capital of God? Is this going to take action against the Kui family in the divine capital? Chengdu is the largest city in central Daxia, a super metropolis with a population of over 20 million. There are not many cities of this size in the whole of Great Xia. The Kui clan has many masters, and Kui Wuhen, the leader of the Kui clan, is a super strong man who shocked the central region of Great Xia. And once Hall Master Ye takes action, it will definitely shake the world. Once a conflict breaks out between the two sides, it's hard to imagine what kind of destruction God City will get. In addition, the area where the divine capital Kui family is located is the seat of the Kui clan in the entire Daxia. No matter who it is, once they take action against the Kui family in the divine capital, all the Kui people in Daxia will be angry. So, if Hall Master Ye really wants to take action against the Kui family in the capital city, things will be very serious. It is necessary to respond to the War Department headquarters in advance. Hearing Hu Dianchen's words, Ye Lu remained silent. Naturally, he couldn't leak what Ye Wuwei told him. Seeing that Ye Lu didn't speak, Hu Dianchen didn't care and stayed here shamelessly. Ye Lu is hard. The fist is hard. Veins were pulsing on his forehead. If he hadn't been worried about affecting Ye Wuwei's plan, he would have punched Hu Dianchen long ago. Didn't wait a few minutes. 3 figures appeared at the door of Li's house. It was Kui Ming and 2 strong men from the Kui clan in the divine capital. Seeing that the door was guarded by people from the War Department, Kui Ming's heart sank, and he had a premonition that something was wrong. At the same time, a War Department commander in charge of security at the gate also saw them. This person is Hu Dianchen's confidant, and the commander is his rank. The commander raised his eyebrows slightly and said, "The birthday banquet is not over yet, are you leaving so soon?" Kui Ming rubbed his stomach and said with a painful look on his face, "I feel uncomfortable in my stomach. I need to go to the hospital." The commander stepped aside and said, "Let's go." Kui Ming felt happy because he didn't expect it to go so smoothly. When passing by the commander, Kui Ming suddenly stopped and asked, "You were fine before, why are you suddenly guarding the gate?" The commander had received Hu Dianchen's instructions in advance, so he knew it well. He said calmly, "There are all prominent figures in Dragon City inside. Commander Hu asked us to keep an eye here and not cause any trouble." Kui Ming nodded and left quickly with the 2 martial arts masters. They did not go to the parking lot, but left Thanglong City on foot. If you drive, it is difficult to avoid the cameras at various intersections. No matter where he goes, he will be found. It is much more convenient to leave on foot. You can use the surveillance blind spots to hide in the vast city. "Sir, I feel something is not right." Yes, not only the front door of the Li family, but also the side entrance of the Li family is guarded by people from the War Department. As soon as he left the Li family, the 2 martial arts masters behind Kui Ming warned him. Kui Ming's heart skipped a beat and he said in a deep voice, "Don't talk for now. Let's talk after we leave Shenglong City." After saying that, Kui Ming speeded up, moved quickly with the two martial arts masters, and ran out of Shenglong City. After leaving Thanglong City, Kui Ming abandoned the main road and rushed directly into the green belt, shuttling between the shades of trees. After running for nearly 10 kilometers and entering an unfinished building, Kui Ming wiped the sweat from his forehead and exhaled. After running for 10 kilometers, the two martial arts masters were breathing smoothly and there was not a drop of sweat on their foreheads. One of them looked puzzled and asked curiously, "Sir, what happened?" Kui Ming gasped, leaned against a pillar, and said solemnly, "Do you still remember that 6 years ago, the Tian family asked our Kui family to kill a genius with shocking martial arts talents?" The grey-haired old man nodded, "I heard something. That is the abandoned son of the Ye family in the imperial capital. After his meridians were destroyed, he recultivated martial arts and rose against the odds. Isn't he already dead?" Kui Ming grimaced and shook his head, "He's not dead, and he just won the Battle Dragon medal." "What?" The expressions of the two martial arts masters changed wildly and they exclaimed. "Can you survive in such a desperate situation? That's almost a fatal situation." The abandoned son of the Ye family back then turned out to be Mr. Ye, who had just received the War Dragon medal from the Li family. Kui Ming took out his mobile phone and said solemnly, "I will tell my dad about this immediately and let him make plans in advance." Fortunately, I recognized the abandoned son of the Ye family today, otherwise the consequences would be unpredictable. The words just fell. A voice that seemed familiar to the three of them came from the darkness, "Is this the cemetery you chose for yourself? Good feng shui." Chapter 80. In an instant, an invisible electric current passed through Kui Ming and the two Kui clan experts. The three of them trembled all over, their scalps numb. The three of them were locked by a majestic murderous intention, and they did not dare to express their anger. Kui Ming slowly turned his head mechanically and looked at the shadow area where the sound came from. A majestic figure stepped out of the shadows and was exposed to the moonlight. Although their vision was unclear, Kui Ming and the others recognized this person's identity at a glance. The person coming is none other than Ye Wuwei. After Kui Ming left Li's house, Ye Lu immediately followed him and sent a text message to Ye Wuwei. During the pursuit, Ye Lu left many marks. Ye Wuwei chased all the way and soon caught up with Ye Lu and Hu Dianchen, who followed him shamelessly. After Ye Wuwei scared away Hu Dianchen with a look, he passed Ye Lu and followed Kui Ming and others unhurriedly until here. "Master, run quickly, let's cut off the queen." Kui's two martial arts masters recovered from their shock and stepped in front of Kui Ming. Boom boom boom. Two violent momentums erupted from the two of them, rising steadily. These two martial arts experts, a man and a woman, are both second-level martial arts masters. Moreover, they are still husband and wife, practicing a special skill of joint attack all year round. Although he is a second-grade martial arts master, he is still capable of fighting even if he encounters a first-grade grandmaster. Because of this, Kui Wuhen, the leader of the Kui clan, was relieved that Kui Ming would come to Longcheng. "Two seniors, you must stand up to them. I, the Kui family, will definitely live up to them. For the descendants of these two, I, the Kui family, will ensure their prosperity for the rest of their lives." Kui Ming did not hesitate, turned around and ran away. He didn't know how strong Ye Wuwei was, so these two sentences contained a threat. If they withstand it, Kui will ensure that the descendants of these two second-grade masters will be prosperous for the rest of their lives. If they can't handle it passively, their descendants will have to be buried with Kui Ming. The two second-grade masters did not understand the meaning of Kui Ming's words. But since they chose to attach themselves to the Kui family in the divine capital, they have already accepted their fate. The dragon and the phoenix present auspiciousness. The two second-grade masters shouted loudly and took the initiative to kill Ye Wuwei. As soon as they took action, it was the combined attack stunt that they had become famous for many years. Hearing this loud shout, Kui Ming felt happy. It's a unique skill when you start it, not bad. How can I delay it for a while? 2 kilometers ahead is the Longjiang River. As long as you jump into the Longjiang River, all your breath will disappear. Plus it's night now, you might be able to escape. This abandoned son of the Ye family was able to escape with the help of Longjiang when he was seriously injured, so he should be able to do the same. Suddenly, Kui Ming's heart clenched and he felt an inexplicable feeling of palpitations. Why is there no sound of fighting behind me? It shouldn't be. Although he was confused, Kui Ming did not dare to look back. He exerted all his strength to suck the milk, mobilized all his inner energy, and rushed forward desperately, just wanting to get out of here. The next second, Kui Ming was stunned. A figure appeared in front of him like a ghost. This person is none other than Ye Wuwei. Ye Wuwei's left and right hands were still holding the 2 second-grade masters. Seeing the 2 second-grade grandmasters who could compete with the first-grade grandmaster, Ye Wuwei held them in his hands like garbage bags. Kui Ming's soul suddenly erupted, and a bone-chilling chill jumped directly from the bottom of his feet to Tianling Gai, making him feel like he had fallen into an ice cave. Plop! Kui Ming's legs became weak and he suddenly fell to his knees. At this time, Ye Wuwei looked like a demon standing in the darkness. Chilling, cold, terrifying. The 2 martial arts masters who had been famous for many years now became lambs to be slaughtered. They stared at Ye Wuwei blankly, with only deep despair in their eyes. Too strong. Crazy strong. They were captured just after meeting each other, and the stunts they had been famous for many years were of no use. A violent inner energy that they had never seen before in their lives was rushing through their bodies, destroying their meridians. Ye Wuwei moved his arm. The 2 second-grade masters were thrown up. Then, in Kui Ming's horrified eyes, Ye Wuwei raised both palms. Boom! Boom! 2 muffled sounds. The 2 second-grade grandmasters were blasted into 2 balls of blood mist on the spot, leaving no bones left. Kui Ming's eyes suddenly bulged, and he backed away like crazy, with a water stain flowing out between his legs. No! No! Please, don't kill me! Kui Ming had never seen such a scene before. He was so frightened that he lost his mind and peed on the spot. In his frightened eyes, 2 tears of despair flowed out. Ye Wuwei flashed and appeared next to Kui Ming. He looked down at Kui Ming's eyes, and his voice was cold and biting. Answer my question. We can consider leaving a whole body for you. In Kui Ming's eyes, Ye Wuwei is now more terrifying than the peerless demon, so he dares to refuse. He nodded wildly and said in a trembling voice, You said it. Did you just mention the Tianjia? Was the Tianjia the mastermind behind the siege and killing incident? Ye Wuwei asked in a cold voice. Ye Wuwei once stayed in the capital of gods, so he naturally knew the Tian family. Shenzhou has 4 powerful nobles in the central region. The Li family in the capital of gods. The Kui family in the capital of God. Heavenly home. Long family. The Tian family and the Long family are not as profound and have a long heritage as the Kui family and the Li family in the divine capital. But to be as famous as these 2 aristocratic families, one can imagine how terrifying the energy of the Tian family and the Long family is. When Ye Wuwei was in the capital of God, he had no interaction with the Tian family. He was very confused as to why the Tian family organized so many forces to surround and kill him. Kui Ming nodded wildly and said while crying, Yes, 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 Tianjia, Tianjia. It was the Tian family who asked our Kui family to take action. It's the Tianjia who wants to kill you, and it's all because of the Tianjia. Ye Wuwei narrowed his eyes slightly and said coldly, You don't know the reason. Kui Ming's face was full of horror and he shook his head quickly, I don't know anything. Ye Wuwei nodded, Then you are useless. As soon as he finished speaking, he stepped on Kui Ming's chest. Well. Kui Ming's eyes turned into dead fish eyes, and he vomited blood crazily from his mouth. The vitality in his body passed quickly, and his eyes gradually lost color. His eyes were filled with deep unwillingness. He is not willing to give in. He was the legitimate son of the Kui family. He had not enjoyed enough glory and wealth, so how could he die like this? He realized now that Ye Wuwei had recognized him a long time ago, but he just kept standing still. Could it be because of the one who met him before the siege began? Yes. I've only seen that side. At that time, I just wanted to see how amazing this genius was. Just watching a show. Unexpectedly, it became the cause of death today. Kui Ming's eyes were full of dissatisfaction, and he gradually stopped breathing. Ye Wuwei picked up Kui Ming's cell phone and whispered, Don't you want to tip off the news? I'll send it for you. Then, he used Kui Ming's mobile phone to send 6 words to Kui Ming's father, Kui Wohen, Ye Ko Fan is back. Whoosh! A sound broke through the air. Ye Lu appeared next to Ye Wuwei. Ye Wuwei turned around and walked out, saying, Deal with him. Send a message to Tianjia and Ye Yi to closely monitor the Kui family in the capital of God. I've alerted them to see who they want to contact. In addition, in the name of heavenly punishment, a killing order is issued to the Kui family in the divine capital. I will personally go to the capital of God to settle the grudges of the past. Yes. Ye Liu's heart was surging and he shouted respectfully. This is the first battle of heavenly punishment. Heaven's punishment is about to appear. Chapter 81. Ye Wuwei was going to the capital of the gods, so he naturally wanted to tell Li Qingyan. So after leaving the unfinished building, Ye Wuwei went straight back to Li's house. Li family. Congratulations to General Li, the promotion documents have arrived. Brother Li, congratulations, a tiger father has no dog sons. Congratulations to the old lady, you are blessed with 3 blessings today. The Li family will surely rise. As soon as Ye Wuwei walked into Li's house, he heard congratulations one after another. I saw Li Hu and Li Jian being surrounded by enthusiastic guests. Li Hu also held a document in his hand, which should be a letter of appointment for a 1-star general. The guests who could not squeeze in ran to the old lady Zhang Chunlin to express their congratulations. Apparently, Li Hu's promotion documents had just been delivered. Seeing this, Ye Wuwei looked calm and walked towards Li Qingyan. Suddenly, a series of exclamations sounded, "Old lady, what's wrong with you? Quick, quick, call the emergency phone. General Li, come here and see, what's wrong with the old lady?" The faces of the guests surrounding Zhang Chunlin changed drastically, and they were frightened and at a loss. Among the crowd on the other side, Li Hu, who was still immersed in joy, his face darkened and he asked in shock, "What's wrong with grandma?" While talking, Li Hu quickly ran to Zhang Chunlin. Taking a closer look, I saw Zhang Chunlin's face was pale, her mouth was slightly open, and her breathing was very rapid. Her eyes were distracted and she stared blankly at the ceiling, looking very bad. "Get out of the way, I'll take grandma to the hospital right away." Li Hu picked up Zhang Chunlin without saying a word. Hearing this, all the guests around him immediately made way. These guests looked solemn and felt uneasy. Because when Zhang Chunlin suddenly appeared abnormal, they all gathered around Zhang Chunlin. Zhang Chunlin's prospective grandson-in-law is a recipient of the War Dragon Medal. Her grandson has just been promoted to a 1-star general in the Central Region War Department. Today is still her birthday party. If the Li family were angry with them, they would definitely be miserable. Wait a moment. At this time, a female voice appeared in everyone's ears. The person who spoke was none other than Li Qingyan. Li Qingyan walked quickly to Zhang Chunlin and said in a deep voice, "Don't touch grandma yet. Grandma had a heart operation, and she had a serious illness a few days ago, and her body is weak. You can't move casually until you know the cause. You should wait for professional medical staff to come." Hearing this, Li Huan frowned and said angrily, "If the best rescue time is delayed, will you be responsible?" Li Qingyan ignored him, but looked at the old housekeeper of the Li family and said, "Grandpa Chen, has this happened to grandma before?" She had not been with the Li family for many years and did not know much about Zhang Chunlin's physical condition. The old housekeeper nodded, "It happened. The current situation is probably caused by the old lady being too happy tonight and drinking too much. Whether you are sent to the hospital or waiting for medical staff, there is a lot of risk." After saying that, the old housekeeper looked at Zhang Chunlin and sighed in his heart. The old lady is too cruel to herself. Hearing that there were considerable risks in sending him to the hospital, Li Hu became less determined in sending him to the hospital. Li Jian looked at Li Qingyan with complicated eyes and said, "Qingyan, you insist on waiting for the medical staff to come. If something happens, you will be responsible." Hearing this, Lu Yuehua instantly became unhappy and said angrily, "Lao San, what you said is so funny. As an elder, you are irresponsible and instead put the pressure on the younger generation. You are really good at it." Li Jian's face straightened and he said in a deep voice, "Then if something goes wrong, you will be responsible, okay? You." Lu Yuehua was choked directly. Once something goes wrong, it will be a lifetime of infamy. Who dares to agree to such a big responsibility casually? Lu Yuehua looked at Li Qingyan and said softly, "Qingyan, you must think clearly." Li Qingyan gritted her teeth, looked at Li Jian firmly, and said, "I will be responsible for anything that happens." Hearing this, Li Jian and Li Hu felt inexplicably ashamed. Immediately, Li Qingyan looked at the anxious guests and said, "Don't worry, everyone. The Li family knows right from wrong and will not blame others randomly." Li Qingyan and Zhang Chunlin were sitting at a table, and they could see clearly what happened. The guests were congratulating themselves and toasting. But Zhang Chunlin drank the wine herself, and she couldn't blame anyone else. Hearing this, all the guests breathed a sigh of relief and looked at Li Qingyan gratefully. After appeasing the guests, Li Qingyan took out her mobile phone and called Yeju. Ziyaju, has Divine Dr. Mo received the call? Almost there. That's good, try to be as fast as possible. Before the birthday banquet started today, the reason why Ye Wuwei and his party arrived relatively late was because they were waiting for Miracle Dr. Mo. Ye Wuwei invited Dr. Mo to treat Zhang Chunlin and asked Yeju to greet him. The original plan of Ye Wuwei and others was to wait for Yeju to bring the Divine Dr. Mo to the Dragon Palace, and then come to the Li family with the Divine Dr. Mo. Who would have thought that Dr. Mo's schedule would be delayed? When he first arrived at Li's house, Li Jian was at the gate of Li's house and blamed Ye Wuwei and his party for arriving a little late. Now, Divine Dr. Mo is finally here. Seeing Li Qingyan's various behaviors, all the guests whispered to each other and praised in low voices. The old housekeeper of the Li family nodded secretly and said to himself, the old lady's vision is indeed very accurate. The eldest lady is more suitable to be the head of the Li family. Outside the crowd, Ye Wuwei saw everyone's reactions in his eyes. Seeing the old butler's slight expression, Ye Wuwei understood clearly. Obviously, Zhang Chunlin drank too much wine on purpose. She was risking her own life to give Li Qingyan and Li Hu a test paper. Their reaction is the answer. Ye Wuwei came to Li Qingyan. He gave Li Qingyan a thumbs up from an angle that no one else could see. He moved his mouth slightly, and a voice reached Li Qingyan's ears, Miss Li, you are amazing. This sentence uses the skill of transmitting sound into the secret. Only Li Qingyan could hear it. Seeing that Ye Wuwei was back, Li Qingyan breathed a sigh of relief and quietly rolled her eyes coquettishly at Ye Wuwei. She actually didn't feel confident just now and felt empty. Now that Ye Wuwei stood beside her, she felt at ease. It didn't take long. Yeju brought Miracle Dr. Mo to the Li family. After checking Zhang Chunlin's condition, Dr. Mo took out a row of golden needles. Divine Dr. Mo lives up to his reputation as a miracle doctor. His movements were very fast, like a dragonfly touching water, and it touched the skin instantly. Every time he moved his arm, the golden needle was inserted steadily and accurately into Zhang Chunlin's acupuncture point. Different acupuncture points require different depths of insertion of golden needles. Each stitch is neither deep nor shallow, it is so wonderful that people can't help but marvel. After the acupuncture, Dr. Mo asked Zhang Chunlin to drink a bowl of hangover soup. Under everyone's gaze, Zhang Chunlin's complexion improved at a speed visible to the naked eye, and her color gradually returned. As soon as she regained some strength, Zhang Chunlin grabbed Li Qingyan's hand tightly and looked at all the guests. A smile appeared on her face and she said, with today's day, I want to announce something to everyone. From now on, Li Qingyan will be the acting head of the Li family in Longcheng. If you make no major mistakes within 1 year, you will automatically become the head of the Li family in Dragon City. After saying that, Zhang Chunlin took out a simple ancient order with the word Li from his pocket and put it into the palm of Li Qingyan's hand. The Li character ancient order is an ancient token with the character engraved on the front. This is the status symbol of the head of the Li family. Chapter 82. Looking at Li Zigoling being stuffed into his hand, Li Qingyan was a little confused. In her mind, this token that symbolized the identity of the family head was mysterious and existed only in rumors. Even though she had been favored since she was a child, she had never seen Li Zigoling before. This is the most powerful proof of the orthodox identity of the Li family in Longcheng. This ancient order with Li characters is something that even the Li family in the divine capital covets. Seeing Li Qingyan's expression, Zhang Chunlin smiled kindly and warned, hold on tight and put it away. Over the years, the Li family in Longcheng was declining day by day, selling many things, and even the former clan land was lost. Zhang Chunlin hid this ancient order with the character Li very tightly. Even though the Li family from the divine capital came to visit several times and wanted to take away Li Zi's ancient order at a sky-high price, Zhang Chunlin did not agree. She has never been able to determine the candidate for the head of the Li family. One of the reasons is that she is worried that the 3 Li Xian brothers will be ineffective and lose the ancient order with the word Li. Her husband devoted his life to the rise of the Li family. She inherited her husband's legacy and worked hard for the Li family all her life. No matter what, she didn't want the Li family in Longcheng to collapse. Now that the ancient order of Li Zi was handed over to Li Qingyan in full public view, Zhang Chunlin finally breathed a sigh of relief. Although she was sick just now, she was still conscious. She knew what was happening around her. So after waking up, he would not hesitate to choose the master of the house. Seeing that Li Qingyan became the acting head of the Li family and received the ancient order with the word Li, Li Tianming and Li Rumen, the father and daughter, reacted the most. Li Tianming breathed rapidly, clenched his fists, and said loudly, "Mom, how can she become the head of the Li family?" Li Rumen looked ugly and echoed, "The position of the head of the family is passed down from male to female, how can it be passed on to her?" Zhang Chunlin narrowed her eyes and scolded, "You are no longer members of the Li family, and it is not your turn to guide the country." As soon as these words came out, Li Tianming and Li Rumen were speechless and speechless. They have been expelled from the Li family and are really not qualified to express their opinions here. Li Jian took a step forward and frowned, "Mom, is this decision too hasty? We should discuss this in advance anyway." Zhang Chunlin looked at Li Jian, then at Li Hu, sighed, and said seriously, "I have thought about it for so many years before making a decision. Do you really think it is hasty?" Li Jian was momentarily speechless. Suddenly, a flash of inspiration flashed in his mind. Logically speaking, Li Zigoling should be hidden in a very secret place. Mother just took out Li Zigoling from her pocket. In other words, she had already made up her mind to choose the head of the family tonight. The fact that she had not been sure before meant that she was still hesitating. After curing her illness, she immediately handed Li Qingyan the ancient order with the name Li and declared him the acting head of the Li family. In other words, the responsibility crisis just now was actually a test for her. After thinking about this, Li Jian lowered his head in shame and sighed, "I respect your decision." Although Li Hu felt a little embarrassed about his face, he actually didn't have much emotion in his heart. Li Jian had always wanted him to become the head of the Li family, and he himself was more eager to make contributions in the military. Upon hearing Li Jian's words, all the members of the Li family looked at Li Qingyan, bowed respectfully, and said in unison, "Greetings to the head of the family." In any case, the position of the head of the family cannot fall to the subordinates. Moreover, Li Qingyan's actions after taking control of the Li group in the past 2 days have already won the hearts of the Li family's associates. The most important thing is that behind Li Qingyan stood Ye Wuwei, who had won the Battle Dragon medal. This is a person who both the governor of Zhangzhou and the commander-in-chief of the Zhangzhou War Department must treat with courtesy. With Ye Wuwei's influence, the Li family's takeoff is just around the corner. Seeing that the collateral members of the Li family recognized Li Qingyan's identity, the group of guests that Li Qingyan appeased just now all congratulated Li Qingyan with fists in their hands. "Miss Li, congratulations! Congratulations, Master Li! Ms. Li, are you free tomorrow? Our group has a big order and wants to cooperate with the Li group." More and more people joined in, and congratulations came one after another. Even Zhangzhou Governor Lu Pianan and Zhangzhou War Department Commander-in-Chief Hu Dianchen toasted to Li Qingyan. After the initial shock, Li Qingyan gradually accepted the change of identity. Facing the congratulations from everyone, she behaved gracefully and politely. However, she was too drunk, and Ye Wuwei blocked a lot of wine from her. This feast lasted until 12 o'clock in the evening, and the guests dispersed one after another. When these people left the Li family, they were all intercepted and talked to alone by the long-awaited shadow guards and shadow troops. Only after signing a confidentiality agreement can you leave the Li family. When all the guests walked out of Li's house, they couldn't help but look back at Li's house, feeling emotional and feeling like they were in another world. Before coming, who would have thought that the Li family actually had a real dragon and could win the Dragon War medal? The Li family is really going to rise. Dragon Palace. After the banquet dispersed, Ye Wuwei took Li Qingyan and others back to the Dragon Palace. At this time, Nian Nian, Lu Yuehua, Zhang Shuai and others have gone back to their rooms to sleep. Ye Wuwei and Li Qingyan were sitting on the sofa in the living room, cuddling together. Li Qingyan's face was rosy, she looked at Ye Wuwei and said softly, "Fearless, I feel like the past few days have been like a dream. You are back, and you have received the Supreme Dragon Medal. I actually returned to the Li family and became the head of the Li family. There are still a group of people who want to sign a contract with me." Speaking of this, Li Qingyan hugged Ye Wuwei's waist tightly and murmured softly, "If this is a dream, I hope I never wake up." Ye Wuwei gently pushed the beauty's hair behind her ears, looking at this stunning face that was so beautiful that he felt his heart go out, and said softly, "Fool." Li Qingyan pursed her red lips and said coquettishly, "You are the fool. I'm so smart." After saying that, her eyes flashed and she said, "If you have something to tell me, just tell me directly. I am very mentally strong." Ye Wuwei was slightly surprised and asked, "How do you know?" Li Qingyan pointed to the French window behind her and said quietly, "Yelu and Yeju are waiting for you there. Besides, you have been whispering to Yelu tonight and even went out for a while. Something must have happened." Hearing this, Ye Wuwei looked back. Then they saw Yelu and Yeju standing outside the French window behind them like two sculptures. Even though he was pretending to be presentable, his eyes were still closed. Ye Wuwei's mouth twitched and he was speechless. These two guys. Ye Wuwei looked at Li Qingyan and said seriously, "I have something to do and I have to leave Dragon City. It can be as fast as 1 day, or as slow as 3 days. Even if there is an accident, at the latest, I guarantee to be back before the beginning of next month." The first of next month is the day Ye Wuwei chose to marry Li Qingyan. He wanted to give Li Qingyan an explanation for his years of waiting, and to fulfill his own dream. Li Qingyan's body trembled, her lips pursed slightly, and she whispered, "Are you leaving? I knew this day would come sooner or later, but I didn't expect it to happen so soon." "Qingyan, I..." Seeing that Li Qingyan was in a low mood, Ye Wuwei was about to explain. However, before he could finish speaking, Li Qingyan took the initiative to kiss him. The two were breathing rapidly and kissed very passionately. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Yelu turned his head to look at Yeju and said, "Xiaoju, how does it feel to watch the boss fall in love?" Yeju's eyes shone with excitement, "It's so exciting." Yelu raised his brows and raised the corners of his mouth, "Well, I have something I want to talk to you about." "Yeju, what are you talking about?" "Yelu, let's fall in love." Yeju was shocked at first, then his face darkened, and he dunked directly on Yelu's head. "I treat you as a brother, what do you think of me?" "BD." Yeju was furious. Yelu rubbed his head with an innocent face. The jokes on the internet were so harmful. "Next time I'll use the boss's tricks." Yelu smiled, "I was joking. Let's watch the boss fall in love." After saying that, he turned his eyes and looked into the villa. Soon, the two of them were watching with gusto again. Chapter 83. Inside the villa. Parted lips. It was Li Qingyan who took the initiative to kiss just now. Now that she realized that Yelu and Yeju were still watching, she instantly became extremely shy. Li Qingyan said coquettishly, "Bad guy." Ye Wuwei was startled, then laughed, and said, "Then I will be bad again." Then, their lips and tongues turned into swords again, probing each other. Li Qingyan's eyes were watery, her body became weak, and she completely shrank into Ye Wuwei's arms. It wasn't until Li Qingyan was out of breath that Ye Wuwei let her go. Li Qingyan lay on Ye Wuwei's lap and whispered, "Let's go. No matter how long it takes, I will wait for you until you come back." Li Qingyan didn't want to ask Ye Wuwei what he was doing. She knew that since Ye Wuwei decided to leave, there was a reason why he had to go. He has his own affairs and his own circle, and she doesn't want to be a burden to him. Of course, Li Qingyan hoped that Ye Wuwei would always be by her side. But she knows very well that two people who love each other cannot completely give up their lives for each other. This is not normal. Wait for me to come back. Ye Wuwei gently pecked Li Qingyan on the lips, his voice was very gentle, but there was a firmness hidden under the gentleness. Li Qingyan nodded, stood up, and said gently, "I'll take you to the door." Then, the two held hands and walked to the gate of the Dragon Palace. Yelu and Yeju had already arrived outside the gate. The two said in unison, "Goodbye, sister-in-law." Ye Wuwei glared at these two guys angrily and said, "Yeju stays." "Ah!" Yeju's face fell, full of reluctance. "A killing order." After I heard that Tianxia issued a killing order, the long-dormant dark network immediately began to boil, and countless forces were gearing up. In the near future, the city of God will be bustling with excitement. Missing this magnificent sight will be a lifelong regret. My blood is burning, now let me stay in Dragon City? Seeing Yeju's expression, Ye Wuwei raised his eyelids, "You don't want to?" Yeju shook his head vigorously and said dejectedly, "No, I am very happy, the boss is wise." Li Qingyan couldn't help laughing when she saw Yeju, who used to be in high spirits anytime and anywhere, with such an expression now. "The sadness of parting has been diluted a lot, I'm leaving. Come back soon." Ye Wuwei and Li Qingyan hugged each other tightly. Although she was reluctant to give up, Li Qingyan took the initiative to let go and said softly, "Go early and come back early." Ye Wuwei nodded and turned around resolutely. Put aside the love between children for now. When he turns around, what awaits him will be a violent storm in the world. When passing by Yeju, Ye Wuwei used the method of transmitting sounds into secrets and said, "Your task is also very important. We cannot delay the wedding of the century. In addition, the safety of your sister-in-law and Nian Nian must be doubled. The challenges you have to face next may be even more magnificent." Hearing this, Yeju was instantly inspired to fight. She clenched her fists heavily and said seriously, "Don't worry, boss, leave it all to me." Ye Wuwei nodded slightly and disappeared into the night with Yelu. "Has the execution order been issued?" "Boss, it's been released, and the dark web is already boiling." "That's good, go to Chengdu and have a good meeting with these so-called aristocratic families in Daxia. The plane is already waiting at the airport and will take off at any time." Ye Wuwei took Yelu straight to Longcheng Airport. Dark web. After Tianxia issued a killing order in the name of divine punishment, the entire dark web was abuzz. The 4 heavenly kings, 9 divine envoys, and 18 guardians of the Temple of Punishment are a lineup known to countless top forces and senior officials from various countries. However, Zushan Temple has a department that even many people within Zushan Temple don't know about. That is a force cultivated personally by Ye Wuwei and the 4 heavenly kings, ANBU. The actions of the 4 heavenly kings, the 9 divine envoys, and the 18 protectors are basically all on the surface. Generally responsible for dealing with the hostile forces in Daxia, or competing with the forces at the national level of various countries. The ANBU is equivalent to a sharp knife hidden in the darkness. A secret weapon belonging to the Temple of Punishment. Targeted elimination of a person or force that poses a major threat to the Temple of Death. Whenever the ANBU is dispatched, a killing order will be issued on the dark web. One is to disrupt the opponent's position and expose its weaknesses. The second is to call on all forces to mobilize together, and the ANBU will wait for the opportunity to deliver a fatal blow to the enemy. The killing order appeared 3 times in total. The first response was mediocre, with no one responding. Because the first execution order was issued to the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of a large western country. All forces feel that this is an impossible task. Because the commander-in-chief of the 3 armed forces is protected by the country's top strong men, it is absolutely impossible to succeed. However, when the news of the death of the commander-in-chief of the armed forces spread throughout the dark web was abuzz. The second killing order was issued against a terrorist organization in the western region. This time, 3 medium forces responded. Although these 3 forces did not play a big role in that battle. But after destroying the terrorist organization, the 3 forces all received a huge reward that was far beyond their imagination. That is a top resource that even money cannot buy. Out of print martial arts, precious medicinal materials, etc. are all available. The third execution order was issued. Several top forces responded. No one from ANBU took action, and the target was eliminated. This is the effect Ye Wuwei wants. It doesn't belong to me, but it can be used by me. This time, it is the 4th time that the killing order has been issued. On the dark web, countless people are discussing intensely, God's punishment. It turns out that the organization that issued the killing order has such a domineering name. It's just that the difficulty this time is too high, and the target is in Daxia. Yes, you may be targeted by the Temple of Punishment if you are not careful. It is estimated that not many forces will take the order this time. It's hard to say, there are a lot of hidden powerful forces in Daxia, and there's no guarantee that no one will take the order. Yes, they don't care if the country is in trouble, but the huge resources represented by the killing order are things that even money can't buy, so they won't be tempted. People all over the world are paying close attention to the latest developments of the killing order. Just when many people felt that the difficulty this time was too high, no top power took the risk. Under the post of the killing order, there were 4 words that attracted countless eyeballs: Demon Gate, take the order. Countless people took a breath. The Demon Sect is a local force in Daxia. The Demon Sect, which has been dormant in Daxia for nearly half a century, is about to come out. This was the existence that once controlled half of Daxia's underground world. The demons have come out, who else will be there? Chapter 84. Big names from all walks of life are hidden on the dark web. There is a person named Bai Xiaosheng who is active on the dark web all year round. He has a wide range of knowledge and has all kinds of secret information at his fingertips. People on the dark web are convinced by him. After the demon sect received the execution order, Bai Xiaosheng's few words pushed the atmosphere to a new peak again. The current master of the demon sect is very young. I heard he is a martial arts wizard who is rare to see in a century. He has skill and courage, and is highly expected by the entire demon sect. This execution order should be the official appearance of the demon sect after half a century of silence. The new sect leader will probably show up as well. As soon as these words came out, the discussion in the demon sect immediately went crazy. Someone left a message below Bai Xiaosheng's words, "You know so much about Daxia, are you also from Daxia?" Bai Xiaosheng, of course. Someone else asked, "Besides the demon sect, what other forces will join?" Bai Xiaosheng, with the intimidation of the Temple of Execution, forces outside Daxia may not dare to accept the order easily. The forces receiving the order should all be forces within Daxia. The Kui family of the Divine Capital has a great influence in the central region of Daxia. If the general forces go there, they will most likely never come back. The force that takes the order must be a top force at the same level as the demon sect. I don't know about anything else, but I'm sure that the group of monsters and ghosts from 10,000 Monster Mountain will definitely go to the capital of gods to join in the fun. No one questions Bai Xiaosheng's words, because his predictions are basically not missed. In other words, at least 2 top forces will be present at the execution order issued against the Kui family in the Divine Capital. Not much to say about the demon sect, it has a profound foundation. After these years of recuperation, it must be strong. 10,000 Monster Mountain is a special existence that is heard by all forces. The reason why Bai Xiaosheng calls the people of Wanyao Mountain monsters. That's because there are no normal people in Wanyao Mountain. This monster from 10,000 Monster Mountain. It's not that they are monsters, but their behavior is so weird that they can even be described as monsters. The members of Wanyao Mountain usually hide in the lower reaches of the 3 religions and 9 streams. Missing arms and legs, blind and deaf, just ordinary configuration. Most of these people are crazy martial artists. Find a new path in martial arts. Some people cut off their left arms to practice swordsmanship with their right hands. Some people cut off their right arm to practice swordsmanship with their left hand. Some people feel that they talk too much and cut their tongues. There are also people who practice bone shrinking skills and become a dwarf despite being 1.8 meters tall. Not only do they not regret it, they are also proud of it. There are countless others. These people have more or less mental problems and are not tolerated by the world, so they are all collected by the 10,000 Monster Mountain. Soon, someone saw 5 words below the killing order, 10,000 Monster Mountain, take the order. As soon as these 5 words came out, they just confirmed what Bai Xiaosheng said. Everyone had a premonition that God City would become extremely lively. For a time, all the forces in Daxia, large and small, sent people to the Divine Capital to watch the battle. I am curious about what kind of commotion the 10,000 Monster Mountain and the Demon Sect General are making in the City of God. I also want to see what kind of organization that mysterious heavenly punishment is. While the attention of the execution order remains high, another force left a message under the execution order, Qingyan Temple, take the order. Many people have heard of the Demon Gate and 10,000 Demon Mountains. But no one has heard of this Qingyan Temple. Seeing this little-known Qingyan Temple receiving the execution order, countless people were confused. Could it be that a small temple somewhere couldn't survive, and the abbot came out with a group of hungry monks to make extra money? Don't monks pay attention to compassion? Why are you still doing this kind of thing? Many people left messages to Bai Xiaosheng and asked about the origin of Qingyan Temple. Bai Xiaosheng's answer made everyone feel frightened. Qingyan Temple was founded by a monk with high prestige in Daxia Buddhism. In his later years, the eminent monk realized a set of magical skills from Buddhism, and his character changed drastically. His disciples also changed their character. Qingyan Temple used to be called Qingyan Temple, but after the eminent monk practiced magic, it was renamed Qingyan Temple. The Buddhist sects of Daxia once worked together to besiege Qingyan Temple 3 times, but were defeated each time. 20 years ago, there was a Buddhist disciple in Buddhism. His Buddhist teachings and martial arts were unparalleled in the world. He was the most amazing and talented person in the entire Daxia Buddhism. But that Buddhist disciple died in the hands of the eminent monk of Qingyan Temple. Because the impact was too great, Buddhism did not publicize this matter. Qingyan Temple has also turned from bright to dark, and gradually become less known. I thought that Qingyan Temple was destroyed, but I didn't expect that the inheritance of Qingyan Temple is still there. With the emergence of Qingyan Temple, Daxia Buddhism will definitely not sit idly by. I have to join in on this grand occasion that only happens once in a century. Seeing that this unknown Qingyan temple had such a terrifying origin, countless people took a breath of cold air. The Buddhist sects of Daxia worked together to besiege Qingyan temple and returned with a huge defeat. That is the power of the entire Daxia Buddhism. There is a widely circulated saying in Daxia, the world's martial arts came from Buddhism. One can imagine how deep the Buddhist martial arts foundation is. Daxia Buddhism has this kind of foundation, but it suffered a defeat at Qingyan temple. How scary is this Qingyan temple? The demon sect, 10,000 monsters mountain, and the Dry Zen temple gathered in the divine capital. It was truly a chaotic dance of demons. Can the Kui family in the divine capital be able to withstand this kind of attack? It's probably going to be a huge fight. Many people are secretly looking forward to the results. More people directly booked their tickets to the divine capital without saying a word. City of Gods. A huge manor covering a vast area was brightly lit and crowded with people. This is the clan of the Kui family in the capital of the gods. Teams of Kui warriors with strong auras looked solemn and patrolled everywhere closely. These people are only outwardly powerful. There are countless martial arts masters hidden in the dark corners. The atmosphere in the entire Kui family was extremely depressing, and many people did not even dare to express their feelings. Kui's lobby. A middle-aged man with a gloomy look sat high on the main seat. This person is none other than Kui Ming's father, Ye Wuwei, the leader of the Kui clan. Sitting on the seat next to Ye Wuwei was a beautiful woman who still had charm. The beautiful woman is Ye Wuwei's wife and Kui Ming's mother, Wei Qiushui. Wei Qiushui's eyebrows were filled with sorrow, and his face was very ugly. On the left and right sides of the lobby, there are a group of people with very strong auras sitting. These people were all covered in large black robes and looked very mysterious. One of them frowned and said in a deep voice, "Clan Chief Kui, why did you call us here in the middle of the night? If someone discovers that we are connected, it could cause serious problems." Ye Wuwei looked gloomy, crushed the teacup in his hand, and said harshly, "You have all heard about the fact that someone issued a killing order against my Kui family." The man in black robe who just spoke nodded, "That's your Kui family's business, what does it have to do with us? Who knows who you Kui people have provoked outside?" Ye Wuwei smiled coldly, "What does it have to do with you? What if the person who issued the killing order is named Ye Wuwei? Ye Wuwei? Upon hearing these three words, there was an instant silence in the lobby. Chapter 85. After a short silence, Kui's lobby was filled with excitement. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. I saw him sinking to the bottom of the river with my own eyes. There was no chance of him surviving. With all your limbs broken, can you still escape in the river? Clan Chief Kui, this joke is not funny. No one believed that Ye Wuwei was still alive and firmly believed that he had died long ago. If I could be reincarnated, I would probably go to kindergarten. Ye Wuwei took out a mobile phone and threw it to the man in black robe who spoke before. He glanced at everyone and said in a cold voice, "My son Kui Ming disappeared in Dragon City not long ago." That was the last thing he sent back before he disappeared. Shortly after he disappeared, an organization called Tinpu on the dark web issued a killing order against my Kui family. Do you think this is all just a coincidence? The man in black robe caught the phone and looked at the message Ye Wuwei is back sent by Kui Ming, and was instantly horrified. How is that possible? How could he still be alive? The face of the man in black robe changed wildly, with a look of disbelief on his face. Ye Wuwei's voice was bone-chilling, his eyes flashed fiercely, and he gritted his teeth and said, "Nothing is impossible. My son has met Ye Wuwei and will never admit his mistake. Not only is Ye Wuwei not dead, he also has a huge power. Now that the demon sect has responded to the killing order, do you think Ye Wuwei will let you go after taking revenge on my Kui family?" As soon as these words came out, all the people in black robes felt their hearts sink. Ye Wuwei was threatening them. Ye Wuwei came to the door. If they didn't help, Ye Wuwei might reveal their identities. The man in black robe who spoke before pondered for a moment and said seriously, "Clan Chief Kui, it's not that we don't want to help. It's really inconvenient to take action. Once people discover that we are involved, many secrets will be exposed. Besides, your Kui family has a profound background. It shouldn't be a problem to deal with the demon sect and Ye Wuwei, and we don't need to take action." Hearing this, Ye Wuwei's breathing became faster and faster, and his eyes became redder and redder. Boom! A violent momentum burst out from Ye Wuwei. Ye Wuwei could no longer suppress the rage in his heart and roared, "Cope with it. I want him dead. My son is already in danger. I will kill that little BD at all costs to avenge my son. No matter who comes, leave your life for me. The Kui family indeed has a profound background, a large family and a large business, and has raised many martial arts masters. However, what Kui Wuhan wanted was to kill Yakeo Fan 100% and take care of the demon sect as well. After hearing this, all the men in black robes fell silent. If they send someone to help Kui, there is a high risk of their identity being exposed. Dong dong dong. There was a sound of rapid footsteps. Kui's chief steward ran into the lobby sweating profusely and said anxiously, "Clan leader, we just received news that Wanyaishan and Kuchin Temple have also received execution orders." "What?" Wei Qiushui exclaimed and stood up suddenly in fright. Although she had never heard of Quzhan Temple, the name of 10,000 Demon Mountains was very familiar to her ears. In Wei Qiushui's eyes, they were a group of lunatics who didn't even care about their lives. It just so happens that this group of lunatics have quite a high level of force. There is already a demon sect, and now there is a mountain of demons. It will be very difficult for Kui to use all his influence to deal with it. Kui Wuhan said coldly, 10,000 Monster Mountain. Do those lunatics dare to come looking for death? You dare to accept the execution order and think that I am easy to bully? The black-robed man frowned and said solemnly, Wanyao Mountain is fine. Clan Chief Kui, what you should pay more attention to is Kuchin Temple. As far as I know, Kuchin Temple once competed with the power of the entire Daxia Buddhism and even won. Few people knew about the battle between Kuchin Temple and Daxia Buddhism before. Because the battle was too brutal, Daxia's senior officials blocked the news. What? Kui Wuhan's expression changed slightly. Kui Wuhan knew how powerful Daxia Buddhism was. There are countless temples all over the country, and the warrior monks in each temple are quite powerful in combat. Even the Kui family in the capital city couldn't bear this power. Can Buddhism lose like this? How perverted does Quzhan Temple have to be? The man in black robe continued, but don't worry too much. The main reason why Buddhism in Daxia was defeated was at the hands of the demon monk from Kuchin Temple who practiced demonic skills. After so many years, I'm afraid that demon monk has already returned to the west. Quzhan Temple and Buddhism are incompatible with each other. Now that we are out of the mountain, we can ask Buddhism to help. As soon as these words came out, Kui Wuhan and Wei Qiushui breathed a sigh of relief. Kui Wuhan took a deep breath and said in a cold voice, now that there are Wanyao Mountain and Kuchin Temple, my Kui family is facing increasing pressure. Do you still want to stand by and watch? Seeing that Kui Wuhan's expression was cloudy and unkind, everyone's hearts sank. A black-robed man sitting at the end of the table stood up and said solemnly, Clan Chief Kui, no matter what the Kui family needs, our KO fan group will definitely cooperate with us. This person was the youngest among everyone present, but he was the first to express his stance. He had reasons to take a stand. Because he is the brother who stabbed Ye Wuwei in the back, Wang Yinai. Ye Wuwei was expelled from the Ye family and came to the capital of God to start over again. He met Wang Yinai, who had the same tragic fate. Perhaps because they share the same problem, the two quickly became familiar with each other. Wang Yinai has been doing his best to be Ye Wuwei's deputy, which gradually makes Ye Wuwei less wary. But what Ye Wuwei didn't know was that Wang Yinai looked at the growing KO fan group, and his ambitions were also expanding rapidly. He was not willing to be Ye Wuwei's younger brother all the time, nor was he willing to be always one step behind Ye Wuwei. So when the mysterious force approached Wang Yinai and asked him to cooperate in getting rid of Ye Wuwei, the two sides hit it off immediately. Now that Ye Wuwei has returned in the name of Ye Ko Fan, the most anxious person is Wang Yinai. He understood the character of the good big brother he once had and would never let him go. Therefore, Wang Yinai was the first to stand up at this moment. Hear Wang Yinai's words. Kui Wuhan nodded, okay. Then, his eyes moved to other people. The men in black robes looked at each other, exchanged glances, and finally nodded at the same time, agreeing. Kui Wuhan solemnly clasped his fists and shouted, then I'll thank you all in advance. The men in black robes stood up and left in a hurry without saying anything else. Looking at the backs of these people, Kui Wuhan's face gradually became cold. If I don't drag you into the water, can I still let you reap the benefits? Speaking of this, he looked at Kui's chief steward, gritted his teeth and said, contact Wu Meng and ask Wu Meng to come over and help. Contact the Buddhist side and tell them that Quzhan Temple has come out of the mountain. In addition, contact the Central Region War Department and ask the Central Region War Department to send someone over. All martial arts experts who are good friends with me, Kui, are invited to help. This time, I want Ye Wuwei to die without a burial place. Yes. The butler agreed and left quickly. The Martial Arts Alliance is naturally the Martial Arts Alliance of the Divine Capital. All martial artists must register with the Martial Arts Alliance to facilitate management. Every regional martial arts alliance has a group of masters in charge, and Chengdu is no exception. With Kui Wuhen's influence, inviting the experts from the Martial League to come over was just a matter of words. As for the Central Region War Department, it is even easier to hire. Someone from the Kui family holds a high position in the war headquarters. When the family is in trouble, the Kui clan cannot just sit idly by and ignore it. Kui Wuhen mobilized so much power to weave a dragnet around the Kui clan. Just waiting for Ye Wuwei to deliver it to my door. Chapter 86. City of Gods. The roof of a tall building. Ye Wuwei and Tianchi stood side by side. Ye Yi and Ye Lu stood respectfully behind them. Further back, there is a group of people wearing casual clothes with no special aura about them. These people were both men and women, and they looked like a large group of ordinary people gathered here. However, they are the most elite force of the Temple of Punishment, the Anbu. Opposite the building where Ye Wuwei and others are located, there are several large office buildings towering into the sky. On the tallest building among them, there are 4 big characters, extraordinary group. This was a group founded by Ye Wuwei himself, but now it fell into the hands of Wang and Ai. Ye Wuwei stared at Kaofan group and asked, "What's going on with the Kui family?" Ye Yi took a step forward and responded respectfully, "A group of men in black entered the Kui family and left not long ago. Our people are tracking it and there will be news back soon." According to the latest news, Kui Wuhen has invited martial arts forces from the Martial Alliance and many divine cities, and those people are rushing to the Kui clan land one after another. There is also a situation at the War Department. The Central Region War Department is secretly mobilizing forces to go to the Kui family. The Qingyan army stationed around Chengdu also showed signs of mobilization, but it has not entered Chengdu. The Qingyan army was the troops that Zhao Bolan of the Zhao family of Dragon City once commanded. Ye Wuwei nodded, "What about the 3 forces that received the killing order?" Ye Wuwei already knew that the demon sect, 10,000 Demon Mountains, and Dry Zen Temple had received the news of the execution order. Ye Yi said respectfully, "These 3 forces have established contact with us and are still on their way to the divine capital. The demon sect's large force is expected to arrive this morning. The 10,000 Demon Mountains have a branch in Chengdu, but the large army will not arrive until noon. Qingyan Temple is the farthest, and we can only get there in the afternoon." Ye Wuwei nodded and stopped talking. Tianchi next to him pointed at the building of Kaofan Group and said, "Brother, that Wang and I has an office on the 5th floor underground. The security level is very high, and many warriors have been hired to protect his safety. I will personally find this ungrateful BCH and kill him. Let's have some appetizers before the real battle." Hearing this, Ye Wuwei shook his head, "This is too cheap for him. Make some noise first and let the bullets fly for a while." "Okay." Tianchi nodded excitedly. Then, Ye Wuwei took everyone off the roof and went to the hotel to sleep. Ye Wuwei could sleep. Wang and I couldn't sleep. The 5th underground floor of Kaofan Group. Chairman's office. Wang and I spent a lot of money to build this underground office. Even the most ordinary walls are made of alloy materials with a thickness of more than 1 meter. The door of the office was even more expensive, and the most powerful experts in the industry were invited to guide it. After testing, several first-grade grandmasters tried simultaneously, but none of them could shake the door. Even if you are trapped inside, you can survive for a month with the spare supplies stored inside. It's more like an underground fortress than an underground office. In every room in the underground office, there are martial arts masters hired with huge sums of money to take charge. Outside the office, heavily armed bodyguards patrol around the clock. These bodyguards all have actual combat experience in overseas battles, and each of them has several lives on his hands. From the 5th underground floor upwards, there are a large number of bodyguards patrolling each floor, so strict that not even a fly can fly in. And in the hall of Kaofan Group, there are posts every 3 steps and 1 sentry every 5 steps, extending all the way to the street outside. In the underground office, Wang and I sat on the boss's chair, worried. After returning from Kui's family, Wang and I returned to the underground office immediately. At Kaofan Group, He has two offices. One is located on the top floor of the building, and the other is on the 5th floor underground. After the internal and external cooperation killed Ye Wuwei, Wang Yinai was still worried, perhaps because of a guilty conscience, so he spent a year building this underground office. Today, this underground office finally came into use. Wang Yinai looked at his security consultant and said solemnly, "Is there nothing unusual outside?" This security consultant is a second-grade martial arts master. It was Wang Yinai who spent a huge amount of money to invite him and has been protecting his safety closely. The security consultant shook his head, "Nothing unusual, very quiet." Wang Yinai breathed a sigh of relief. He has made up his mind to stay here and never come out. Ye Wuwei couldn't break in, so he had no choice but to trouble Kui. If he goes to Kui's side, he will only die. As long as Ye Wuwei survives, Wang Yinai will live in the underground office for one day. Dingling bell suddenly, the phone rang rapidly. Wang Yinai's nerves were tense for a moment. He carefully picked up the receiver and said in a deep voice, "What's the matter?" An urgent female voice came from the loudspeaker, "Chairman, there is a problem with the group's business." In the middle of the night, those big partners suddenly found out many problems and demanded that we pay a huge amount of liquidated damages. Wang Yinai's face darkened and he said coldly, "Everything is going well, how come something suddenly goes wrong?" As soon as the words came out, Wang Yinai was stunned for a moment. Could it be that Ye Wuwei has already started to attack? The person on the other end of the phone said nervously, "I don't know either. They're asking you to go talk to them in person." Hearing this, Wang Yinai was instantly horrified. Is this to lure the snake out of its hole? Wang Yinai gritted his teeth and shouted coldly, "Compensate. If it is really our problem, we will directly compensate them." Wang Yinai has always regarded wealth as life. Although losing money made his body hurt, it was like cutting out his flesh. But compared with life, those money are nothing. He would not go out even if he died. After hanging up the phone, Wang Yinai's face twisted at the thought of losing a large sum of money, and he growled, "Ye Wuwei, you have long been disappointed with this world, what are you still doing here? Damn it, damn it!" Wang Yinai punched the table, and his eyes almost burst out with fire. Half an hour passed. Wang Yinai felt sleepy and was about to squint on the chair. Suddenly, a piercing siren sounded, echoing in the basement. Wang Yinai was so frightened that his scalp went numb and he fell from his office chair to the ground. What's going on? What happened? Wang Yinai hid under the table and yelled in horror. The security consultant quickly contacted the outside world and asked what happened. A minute later, the security consultant breathed a sigh of relief and said, "It's okay. I don't know who accidentally triggered the alarm." "Hey!" Wang Yinai wiped his cold sweat and said angrily, "Take that damn thing out. Can the alarm be touched randomly?" The security consultant nodded and ordered a thorough investigation. Another half-hour later, the alarm sounded again. This time it was found that it was still an accidental touch. This went back and forth a full 5 times. It was a mistake every time. Wang Yinai was tortured until his eyes were red, his hair was messy, and he was almost going crazy. When the siren sounded again, Wang Yinai was used to it. However, the security consultant's expression changed drastically and he exclaimed, "Except for the surveillance at the office entrance, all other surveillance images are invisible." Wang Yinai's scalp went numb instantly. Is Ye Wuwei here? Chapter 87. Now, what's the situation outside now? Wang Yinai asked with fear on his face. The security consultant shook his head solemnly, "I don't know, I can't see it. However, communication is still normal. I'll ask them what happened." With that said, the security consultant picked up the walkie-talkie and said in a deep voice, "Small team, what happened outside? Why are there so many monitoring failures? Are they being attacked?" A small team is responsible for the security of the Wuwei group hall and the ground. If attacked, a small team is the first to make contact with the opponent. After waiting for a while, there was no reply from the small team. The security consultant's face became increasingly gloomy, and he had an ominous premonition in his heart. Wang Yinai's heartbeat was as fast as a drum, and boundless fear quickly invaded. How long did it take for a small team to be completely destroyed? How scary must the other party be? Wang Yinai said in a trembling voice, "Quick, quick, quick, contact the second team. The second team is responsible for the security of the underground level. If the second team is also attacked, it means that the other party knows that they are hiding underground. The security consultant nodded, switched channels, and quickly asked, Team 2, are you under attack? Wang Yinai clenched his fists tightly and was extremely anxious. After a few seconds, a voice came from the loudspeaker, everything is normal, there was no attack call. Wang Yinai breathed a sigh of relief. He sat back on the chair, wiped the sweat from his forehead, and murmured, fortunately, Ye Wuwei didn't know I was in the basement. However, the words of the security consultant almost scared Wang Yinai to the point of peeing. You are not from Team 2. The security consultant gritted his teeth and had a fierce look in his eyes. Wang Yinai said in horror, how do you know he is not from the second team? The security consultant said solemnly, I have developed a set of standard procedures for responding. There is something wrong with this person's reply. The words just fell. A laugh came from the loudspeaker, haha, I was discovered by you, and you handled it very professionally. Interesting. Wait, we'll be there soon. Then, there was a burst of noise from the speaker, which must have been the other party crushing the walkie-talkie. The security consultant quickly switched the intercom to the public channel and shouted, attention all teams, the other party has broken into the basement. Close the fire doors and inspect every corner closely. Each team immediately replied, Team 3 received it. Team 4 received it. Team 5 received it. Team 6 received it. Seeing that all 4 teams had received it, the security consultant breathed a sigh of relief. In other words, the other party has only entered the underground level now. After the fire door is closed, it should be able to withstand a lot of time. The security consultant turned his head to look at Wang Yinai and said solemnly, Mr. Wang, I suggest you ask Kui for help immediately. The fact that the first team and the second team were killed so quickly shows that the opponent is very strong, and the remaining 4 teams probably won't be able to stop them for long. Okay, I'll contact Patriarch Kui right now. Wang Yinai looked horrified and quickly took out his mobile phone to make a call. However, Kui Wuhen never answered the phone. While Wang Yinai was waiting for Kui Wuhen to answer the phone, screams kept coming from the intercom. Ah, run quickly. Is this a human or a ghost? Pft crack. Boom. Hearing these sounds, Wang Yinai was sweating like a waterfall and his heart was beating with fear. Although he couldn't see the situation of each team, he could imagine from these voices that the bodyguard team he hired with a lot of money was like a chicken and a dog in front of the visitors. Wang Yinai's arms trembled and he made several calls in succession for several minutes. Kui Wuhen never answered. Bang! Wang Yinai threw his cell phone on the table angrily and roared, Kui Wuhen, UFG answer my phone. At this time, there was no sound coming out of the intercom. Wang Yinai's mentality was about to collapse, he was frightened and desperate. Coming! At this time, the security consultant pointed to the monitoring wall on one side with a solemn face. On the surveillance wall, there were originally surveillance images from every corner of the KO fan group. Now all that's left is the surveillance footage outside the underground office. In the only surveillance video, a man wearing black clothes and a mask on his face came outside the door of the underground office. The 6th team guarding this floor was defeated, kept retreating, and all squeezed out of the gate. Like a ferocious black tiger, driving a group of lambs into the sheepfold. The man in black glanced at the surveillance camera, as if he saw Wang Yinai inside. This sight directly frightened Wang Yinai's body and made his legs weak. Then, under the watchful eyes of Wang Yinai and the security advisor, the man in black moved his feet and appeared next to the remaining members of Team 6 at an incredible speed. The 6 teams didn't even put up any decent resistance, and they were all killed and fell to the ground. This scene scared Wang Yinai to death. Powerful. Too strong. Abnormally strong. Gilu. Wang Yinai swallowed and said in a trembling voice, can he get in? The security consultant shook his head, this door is very strong, and it can be blocked by several first-grade grandmasters at the same time. This person is a first-grade grandmaster. There is no way he can break in. As long as we don't go out, even if a powerful martial emperor above the grandmaster comes, they may not be able to do anything to us. Wang Yinai took a reassurance and felt relieved a little. What surprised him was that the man in black did not try to break the door, but placed a timer on the wall. The timer is counting down, there are 12 hours left. After that, the man in black turned around and left without a trace. Seeing this, Wang Yinai's eyes widened in shock. Leaving now? Just then, the phone rang. It was Ye Wuwei calling. What's wrong? Clan Chief Kui, help me, Ye Fan's people are attacking me. How many people came? One person. Only one person? Do you still have the nerve to call for help? That man is very strong. He killed many of my bodyguards. He also placed a timer outside my office. He will kill me when the time is up. Please send someone to rescue me quickly, Chief Kui. Idiot, this is obviously a trick to lure the tiger away from the mountain. If I send someone there, won't I be fooled by him? You. Without waiting for Wang Nai to say anything more, Ye Wuwei hung up the phone. He is very busy now and is in no mood to argue with Wang Nai. Moreover, Ye Wuwei didn't care about Wang Nai's life or death. Hold. Wang Nai's eyes turned red, and his chest heaved rapidly with anger. It was fine yesterday. Suddenly, he was in a desperate situation. Looking at the timer placed by the man in black through the monitoring screen, Wang Nai was filled with despair and anxiety. He knew that the time on the timer was his life. On purpose, Ye Fan deliberately used this method to make me sleepy and sleepless. He wants to torture me in this way and take revenge on me. Ha ha ha, I'm not afraid of you. Woohoo Ye Fan, why aren't you dead? Looking at the dwindling time, Wang Nai's mentality collapsed. Crying and laughing like a madman. He understood Ye Wuwei's character. I also know how terrifying Ye Wuwei's martial arts talent is. Ye Wuwei never failed to kill anyone. No, I still have hope. Wang Nai thought of that mysterious organization, and hope ignited in his heart. It was an extremely powerful force that could even command the Kui clan of the Tian family in the divine capital. Back then, it was that organization that found him and asked him to work together inside and outside to get rid of Ye Wuwei. That mysterious organization warned Wang Nai. They can take the initiative to contact Wang Nai, but Wang Nai must not take the initiative to contact them. Now in desperation, Wang Nai simply ignored the warning from the mysterious organization and sent a text message asking for help. The first floor below ground level. The man in black took off his mask and revealed his face. It was Ye Lu. Looking at the distress message intercepted on his phone, Ye Lu smiled with satisfaction and left quickly. Chapter 88. Time passes minute by minute. Wang Nai's eyes were bloodshot and he was anxious, walking around in the underground office in a daze. He didn't know the name of the mysterious organization, and he didn't know whether the mysterious organization would send someone to rescue him. Everything is unknown. But he has done a lot for that mysterious organization over the years, and he can be considered a good and obedient dog. In Wang Nai's view, such a large extraordinary group has a market value of nearly 100 billion. For that mysterious organization, I should still be of value. Moreover, Ye Fan Group's business covers all aspects and is very easy to use. That mysterious organization should not give up on itself. This underground office, built like an underground fortress, not only protected Wang Nai, but also trapped him. Wang Nai was like a turtle in a urn at this time, he could only forcefully comfort himself that there was still hope. Otherwise, he really wouldn't be able to hold on anymore. Dingling bell suddenly, the landline on the desk rang. Wang Nai was like a drowning man who saw a life-saving straw and rushed forward like crazy, lying on his desk. Hello. Wang Nai's voice trembled, and his face was filled with anticipation. However, the voice coming from the loudspeaker disappointed his expectations. Chairman, there are a lot of negative news about us on the internet. Our stock suddenly plummeted. More and more partners are asking to stop cooperating with us. Moreover, the bank is also urging us to repay the loan, and the group's capital chain will soon be cut off. After hearing the news, Wang Nai finally couldn't hold it any longer. Are you going to leave me with nothing? Ye Fan, you have such a vicious heart. Wang Nai unplugged the phone line, yelled heartbreakingly, and smashed the landline phone around the office. But what made him even more frustrated was that everything in the office was of very good quality and couldn't be broken at all. Plop! Wang Nai collapsed on the ground. He stared blankly at the ceiling with eyes filled with horror. Ye Fan, what have you experienced in these years? Commercially, if you can bring Ye Fan Group to the brink of collapse, it means that you now have much larger financial support than Ye Fan Group. In terms of force, a heavily paid security team cannot stop a subordinate you send. The impact is even more incredible. A killing order directly forced the Kui family in the capital of God to prepare for the attack. Existences at the level of Demon Gate, 10,000 Monster Mountain, and Dry Zen Temple all respond to your orders. At this moment, Wang Yi's heart was filled with regret. Now that Kaofan Group's market value has plummeted, the mysterious organization probably won't take action. The only thing he can do now is to wait for his death to come. When I think that I am about to lose everything I own, my life is about to come to an end. The fear of death made Wang Yi terrified and filled with despair. He wanted to struggle, but there was nothing he could do. Except despair. Still desperate. Hotel. Ye Wuwei stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling window, holding a cup of tea and leisurely looking at the scenery of Chengdu. It has to be said that Chengdu deserves to be the largest city in central Daxia. All walks of life are very prosperous and the commercial atmosphere is very strong. At this time, Tianchi quickly rushed into Ye Wuwei's room and said in a deep voice, "Brother, we found out. The mysterious organization hidden behind the scenes is called clung." With that said, Tianchi handed a note to Ye Wuwei. Enlightenment? Hearing this name, Ye Wuwei narrowed his eyes. The secret message passed to him before the fourth seat said that the four mysterious organizations of Tian, Earth, Yuan and Qi should be strictly investigated. The word source among them, Ye Wuwei already knew, was the source organization located in the western continent. Could this enlightenment be spiritual enlightenment? Ye Wuwei looked at the information on the note and asked, "How did you find it?" Ye Wuwei must understand the source of this important information. Tianchi directly took the teacup from Ye Wuwei's hand, drank the tea in one breath, and then said slowly, "There are two main clues. One is the men in black robes who left Kui last night. The other one was a distress message sent by Wang Yi, who was hiding in a turtle shell. According to the identity analysis of those men in black robes, the person with the highest status among them is Tianya, the head of the Tian family. Others are top bosses in many industries in Chengdu. After Tianya left the Kui family last night, he did not return to Tianjia. Instead, he drove around in the city of Chengdu in a car and picked up two people on the way. Judging from their clothes and behavior, those two people are Japanese. Wang Yi's distress message allowed us to find a small stronghold in clung and discover the existence of the clung organization. Taking all the information together, the two people Tianya, the head of the Tian family, met last night should be the ones who Qiling." Ye Wuwei nodded while reading the message on the note. On the note, the identity information of the men in black robes who went to Kui's last night was recorded in detail. Ye Wuwei raised the note and asked, "Have the identities of these people been found out?" Tianchi nodded, "Everything has been checked. 18 generations of ancestors have been screened by them. Through the investigation of these people, we gradually discovered the mission of clung, the organization's branch in Chengdu. They used various industry bosses and the two major families of Tianjia and Kui to secretly assassinate martial arts geniuses in the central region of Daxia, instigate gender and regional antagonisms, conduct cultural negation of Daxia, and promote Japanese culture. Kaofan Group is the largest sponsor of these actions." Listening to Tianchi's words, Ye Wuwei's face became darker and darker. The harm of Qiling is even more serious than the forces outside the territory that are eyeing Daxia. If a country wants to prosper, unity is the most basic requirement. Ye Wuwei's eyes flashed fiercely, and he said coldly, "Do your best to find clung's headquarters. This disgusting thing cannot be left alone. Assassinating the martial arts genius in the central region of Great Xia." Ye Wuwei realized that it was probably this Qiling who was behind the siege and murder 6 years ago. Just one Wang Yi cannot gather so many forces. Tianchi said sternly, "Ye Yi is already checking it out personally. By the way, the large forces from Demon Sect and 10,000 Demon Mountains have arrived, and Qingyan Temple will also arrive soon. There are also many new faces coming to the City of Gods. They are sent by various forces in Daxia. They probably want to watch our actions. As soon as Qingyan Temple arrives, shall we directly attack the Kui family in the divine capital?" Ye Wuwei shook his head lightly, "No rush. Come one by one. The countdown is almost over, Wang Yi must die. Let's go to Kaofan Group." After saying that, Ye Wuwei turned around and strode away. The grudges of 6 years ago are all settled today. Chapter 89. Extraordinary Group. Office on the 5th floor underground. Wang Yi held a knife in his hand and kept making gestures on his neck. There was so much pressure that he went crazy. He wanted to commit suicide and not give Ye Wuwei a chance to kill him. However, he did not have the courage or the heart to do so. The warrior hired by Wang Anai looked on with worry on his face. They were not worried about Wang Anai's life, but their own. In recent years, they have done many dirty things for Wang Anai, and they have long been tied to Wang Anai. Wang Anai couldn't invite reinforcements, so they could only waste their time here. Seeing that the countdown was about to reach 0, these warriors could only place their hope on the thick protective door of the office. Coming. The security consultant who had been staring at the monitoring screen trembled and his breathing gradually became rapid. On the surveillance screen, a group of people came outside the office door. The leader was none other than Ye Wuwei. Wang Anai suddenly looked at the surveillance camera and saw that familiar yet unfamiliar face. He stumbled and fell to the ground. It's him. That's him. It's really him. He's really not dead. Wang Anai was so frightened that his face turned pale, he was terrified, and his feces and urine flowed out. Outside the door. Ye Wuwei looked at the surveillance camera coldly and said in a cold voice, Wang Anai, do you still know me? Inside the office. Hearing the cold voice coming from the loudspeaker, Wang Anai's heart twitched. He seems stronger. Just one sentence almost froze other people's bones. Wang Anai's eyes were red, and he crawled to the front of the surveillance camera, shouting, Ye Fan, I know you even if you turn into ashes. Ye Wuwei nodded, that's good. When you report to Yamahal, don't give the wrong name. My name is Ye Wuwei now. While speaking, Ye Wuwei waved his hand. Tianxia took a step forward and was about to blow down the office door. Ye Lu volunteered, let me try. Tianxia nodded on one side of his body. Ye Lu came to the door, took a deep breath, and mobilized the energy in his body. The blood in his body was flowing rapidly, and the veins in his hands were beating. Then, punch out. Boom. A deafening loud noise suddenly erupted. The door kept shaking. Puff. The rolling sound waves made Wang Anai's chest feel tight and he couldn't help but spurt out a mouthful of blood. After vomiting blood, Wang Anai was pleasantly surprised. He was very satisfied with the protective effect of this gate. Ha ha ha. Ye Fan, if you can, come in and kill me. Come on. You keep bombarding, I have enough supplies here, I can last a lifetime. Wang Anai felt extremely happy and started shouting crazily. Hearing Wang Anai's arrogant voice on the monitor, Ye Lu gritted his teeth and punched again. Bang boom! The power of this punch was greater than the previous one. However, the door is still very stable. Puff! Wang Anai spat out a mouthful of blood again. A trace of blood flowed from his ears. However, Wang Anai no longer cares about this. Ha ha ha, keep going. Is this all there is to it? I thought you were so awesome. Wang Anai just wants to scream now and release the emotions that have been held in his heart for a day. Outside the door. Ye Lu lowered his head and backed away silently, a little embarrassed. He really didn't expect that the door was so strong. It looks like it's about to collapse as it keeps vibrating, but in fact it's constantly shedding force. Tianxia walked to the door and stood still, slowly raising his hands. As slow as doing Tai Chi. Seeing this, Wang Anai shouted, Ye Fan, it's better for you to do it yourself. You little brothers, please don't be embarrassed here. The words are not finished yet. Boom. A loud thunder-like sound suddenly appeared. Puff puff puff. Not to mention Wang Anai, even the group of warriors seemed to have been hit hard and spurted out a large mouthful of blood. Wang Anai held his head and screamed in pain. He felt like his head had been split open and a hand was stirring inside. The pain was excruciating. Boom. The door, which Wang Anai regarded as the wall of life, collapsed under the horrifying eyes. Wang Anai saw the gate fall and the roar suddenly stopped. His eyes were filled with shock and horror. Collapsed. It collapsed. This is a gate made of rare metal that even several great masters can't shake. For a moment, Wang Anai's mind went blank. In his dull eyes, Ye Wuwei strode into the office with Tianxia and others. Plop. Plop. The group of warriors invited by Wang Anai were horrified and knew they were outmatched, so they knelt down directly. Among them, the strongest is the security consultant. He is a second-grade martial arts master. Referred to as the second-grade Wuzong. Even the great masters cannot do it. Only those who are in the martial emperor realm can do it. Such a huge gap in strength directly defeated their desire to resist. Ye Wuwei walked up to Wang Anai, patted the latter's face, and said, "Weren't you very arrogant just now? Recover." This action was extremely insulting and made Wang Anai come back to his senses. Looking at this familiar yet unfamiliar face, Wang Anai's legs softened and he knelt down directly. He hugged Ye Wuwei's feet and cried bitterly, "Brother, I was wrong. Someone else forced me back then, and I didn't want to harm you. If you want to settle accounts, go find those who are really besieging you." Ye Wuwei's eyes flashed coldly and he kicked Wang Anai away. Wang Anai shot out like a cannonball and hit the metal wall heavily. There was a crackling sound. Most of Wang Anai's bones were broken and he kept vomiting blood in his mouth. The next second, Ye Wuwei flashed and appeared next to Wang Anai. He lowered his head to look down at Wang Anai and said coldly, "Of course I won't let those be go. You go down and wait for them first, they will arrive soon." After saying that, Ye Wuwei struck out with a palm without hesitation. Boom! Wang Anai's body exploded into a ball of blood mist. "Boss, what should we do with these people?" Tiancha looked at the group of warriors invited by Wang Anai and asked. Ye Wuwei strode out and said coldly, "Kill him." As soon as he finished speaking, there were screams behind him. The first debt I made 6 years ago is finally recovered. Next. It's Kui's turn in the capital city. Chapter 90. The Kui family in the divine capital. The roads near the Kui clan's land were extremely quiet, with not a single pedestrian or car in sight. It was eerily quiet. You must know that the Kui family in the divine capital is one of the top wealthy families in the central region of Great Xia. Looking at the entire Daxia, it can be ranked in the second echelon. There are usually so many guests, and the threshold has to be crossed several times a year. But today, Kui's door is closed tightly, and the air is filled with the smell of tension. The sun sets in the west. The dim sunlight shines on Kui's majestic door, giving it an inexplicable feeling of desolation. On the tall buildings and big trees around the Kui clan, hidden are warriors with powerful auras. Within the tall and thick walls of Kui's courtyard, each of Kui's strong men were tense and concentrated, holding their breath. There are martial arts experts squatting in every corner of the Kui family. In Zhongcheng, a 4th-grade martial artist can be famous all over the world. And there is not even a 3rd-grade martial king. But in the Kui family, 4th-grade martial arts masters are everywhere. In Dragon City, a 2nd-grade martial arts master is an unattainable existence in the minds of countless warriors. 1st-grade grandmasters are even rarer. Now, Kui's lobby. Kui Wuhen, the leader of the Kui clan, sat high on the throne with a gloomy expression. On the chairs to his left and right, the martial arts masters who had been invited had solemn expressions on their faces, anxiously waiting for the battle to come. Among these powerful people, there are no less than 10 2nd-grade martial arts masters. And there are 4 1st-grade great masters. The 1st-grade Grand Master sitting in the front row also had a familiar face. This person is none other than the 1st-grade Grand Master, Furukawa. Furukawa has a very good reputation throughout the central territory. This time the Kui family was in trouble, and he was pulled over by his best friend, another 1st-grade Grand Master. There are more than a dozen martial arts masters and 4 1st-level Grand Masters. This kind of lineup is enough to destroy a small country. Being able to invite so many powerful people in a short period of time, one can imagine the background of the Kui family in the divine capital. Many people rushed to the divine capital overnight. With so many martial arts masters gathered together, powerful auras escaped, and those with weak strength did not dare to come in. Furukawa looked at his friend, another 1st-grade Grandmaster Jin Wushuan. He used the method of transmitting messages into secrets and said to Jin Wuhuang, "Brother Jin, this time the opponent is coming with menacing force. You must not be rash. I'm just here to help you save face, but I won't do anything. You should be careful later and just make a move to return the favor. If the situation goes wrong, retreat immediately. I will help you." Jin Wuang nodded imperceptibly. "It's just a favor, there's no need to risk your life." On the main seat, Kui Wuhan narrowed his eyes and glanced at Furukawa and Jin Wushu. He knew what Furukawa and Jin Wushu were discussing, but he didn't know what they said specifically. Kui Wuhan looked at Gu He and said calmly, "Grandmaster Gu seems to have something in mind. Grandmaster Gu is willing to help me Kui Shi this time because he thinks highly of me Kui Shi. I also asked the ancient master to speak freely without worrying about anything." Gu He's eyelids twitched and he said politely, "Clan leader Kui's words are serious. Gu is just curious. We have been sitting here all afternoon. Why hasn't the other party arrived yet?" Kui Wohen naturally didn't believe this kind of nonsense. Kui Wohen said calmly, "We're almost there. The person who targeted my Kui family this time is named Ye Fan. He is an abandoned son of the Ye family in the imperial capital. Not long ago, Ye Fan broke into the Ko Fan group he established, and now he is on his way to my Kui family. Naturally, the Ko Fan group's movements cannot be hidden from Kui Wohen's eyes and ears." As soon as these words came out, all the martial arts masters in the lobby cheered up and their expressions became extremely serious. "It's time to take action. That's it." Gu He nodded and said no more. Kui Wohen's eyes flashed, and he solemnly said, "Grandmaster Gu, Kui has an unkind request." Furukawa didn't owe Kui any favors, so Kui Wohen behaved very politely. "Clan Chief Kui, please speak." Furukawa's heart suddenly lifted. Could it be that Kui Wohen is not a good person and assigns some tasks to himself? "I don't owe you Kui's favor." Kui Wohen looked serious and said solemnly, "There is a person imprisoned in the backyard of my Kui family. That person has a very special relationship with Ye Fan. Kui wants to ask Grandmaster Gu to guard this person. At the critical moment, bring that person to Ye Fan." Kui Wohen felt that Furukawa was not very reliable, so he simply gave him a marginal task to avoid bad things during the fight. Hearing this, Furukawa suddenly became interested and asked curiously, "Who is that person?" "Qin Feng." Kui Wohen said in a deep voice, "Ye Fan's uncle, a servant of the Ye family in the imperial capital. Ye Fan was thrown on the roadside when he was young. It was Qin Feng who picked up Ye Fan and brought him into Ye's house, saving his life. This Qin Feng is Ye Fan's biggest weakness. The Ye family of the imperial capital." Furukawa frowned. The Ye family in the imperial capital is a super wealthy family that can be ranked in the first echelon in the entire Great Xia. Even in the imperial capital where there are many powerful people and powerful people. The Ye family is a giant level existence. Even if he had great courage, he would not dare to provoke the Ye family in the imperial capital. Seeing Gu He frowning, Kui Wohen smiled lightly and said, "Ye Fan's name was Ye Fan when he was in the Ye family in the imperial capital. He was not well received by the Ye family in the imperial capital, and even Qin Feng suffered a lot. Someone within the Ye family wanted to use my help to get rid of Qin Feng, so he was sent to the capital overnight. The Ye family of the imperial capital does not care about Qin Feng's life and death, so there is no need for the ancient master to frown." Hearing this, Gu He breathed a sigh of relief. Gu He cupped his hands towards Kui Wohen and said, "Clan Chief Kui has an order, and Gu dare not refuse." Kui Wohen smiled politely, casually summoned a Kui clan expert, and led Gu He to the backyard. After Gu He left, Kui's lobby became quiet again. Kui's inside and outside. Everyone is waiting. Waiting for the mysterious punishment to appear. It didn't take long. A Kui clan warrior rushed into the lobby like crazy, panting, Clan leader, come, here." Kui Wohen's eyes flashed with a fierce light, he stood up suddenly and shouted, "Let's go. I'd like to see how bad it becomes for the Ye family's abandoned son now." Outside Kui's gate. In the gaze of pairs of eyes, openly and secretly, 3 men wearing masks came. Between the eyebrows of the mask, there is a word punishment full of murderous intent. These 3 people were Ye Wuwei, Tianxia and Ye Lu. As for the ANBU troops, they did not show up, but hid in the dark waiting for an opportunity to take action. Seeing that only 3 people came from Tinpu, the surrounding area suddenly became lively. Is this heavenly punishment? It seems quite mysterious. Why do so many people come to this heavenly punishment? Do they look down on Kui so much? With just such a few people here, do you want to rely entirely on the demon sect, 10,000 demon mountains, and Quzhan temple? These 3 forces are not fools, and they probably won't agree. I'm sure that those monsters in Wanyeo mountain will definitely cause trouble. When everyone was talking about it, a group of strange people rushed out of the darkness and came outside Kui's gate. The organization they belong to is the place regarded by countless people as a gathering place for monsters and ghosts, 10,000 Demons Mountain. Chapter 91. As the rumors say, the people in Wanyeo mountain are all strange. There are many people with missing arms, short legs, blindness and deafness. Basically there are no normal people. The only one who looks normal is the owner of 10,000 Demon Mountains walking in the front, Yulong. Yulong is the nickname of the owner of Wanyeo mountain. As for his real name, no one knows. Seeing that only 3 people came from Tinpu, everyone in Wanyaishan looked unhappy. A dragon is tall and tall, wearing black and white training clothes, and even his hair is half white and half black. Half of his face looked like he was smiling, and half of his face looked like he was crying, which was very weird. A dragon strides forward without saying a word. Walking behind the dragon were the left and right guardians of 10,000 Monster Mountain. Lin Lin, the guardian on the left, was carrying a long sword on his back, with a broken arm, and his empty sleeves fluttering in the wind. The right protector Shi who wears a tiger head hat on his forehead, is blind in one eye, and has several ferocious claw marks on his face that are deep enough to show bone. The one-eyed gaze was sinister, and it kept scanning Ye Wuwei and the others. When they were only 10 steps away from Ye Wuwei and the others, the right guardian wearing a tiger-headed hat smiled and said, "Heavenly punishment. Is this how you punish people?" Ye Wuwei put his hands behind his back and looked forward without turning his head. The Tianqian next to him gave Shi Hu, the right protector, a cold look, and said coldly, "Do you have any objections?" Shi Hu nodded, "Of course I have opinions." "How? You want to use me as cannon fodder?" Boom! An icy murderous aura erupted from Tianqi's body, and his voice was bone-chilling, "Get out! Or shut up!" Feeling the strong murderous aura on Tianqi's body, the surrounding spectators were shocked. Even though they were so far apart, the murderous aura in this person was so strong. This is a murderer. Seeing that Shi Hu and Tian Xia were tit for tat as soon as they met, they immediately became interested. "Haha, I just said that the people from Wanyao Mountain are going to cause trouble. This is a group of lunatics with abnormal brain circuits. I saw that there is no tiger head hat on the head of the right protector Shi Hu. It was made by tearing a tiger alive when he was just an adult. I've heard of him. He practiced Fuhuquan since he was a child. As soon as he became an adult, he ran into the mountains to practice boxing with real tigers. He almost lost his life. No normal person could do such a thing. Be careful, this Shi Hu is petty-minded and extremely vindictive. I heard that he has now entered the first-level Grand Master realm and has practiced Fuhu Fist to an unprecedented level." All the onlookers saw Shi Hu and Tian Xia fighting, and their hearts were beating with excitement. Even before Mrs. Kui appeared, there was already a good show to watch. It would be unlucky to deal with a force like 10,000 Monster Mountain that is completely insane. Everyone is curious, how will this tit-for-tat situation end? Wanyao Mountain cannot be treated with common sense. Outside Kui's gate. Feeling the strong murderous aura on Tianqi's body, Shi Hu not only was not afraid, but became excited. He geared up and said with a weird smile, "I won't get out and won't shut up, what can you do to me?" Shi Hu deliberately angered Tinpu and wanted to compete with Tinpu. He could feel that heavenly punishment was very strong. Fighting against such a strong man will definitely give him some insights, and maybe it can help him improve his Fuhu Fist to a higher level. While speaking, Shi Hu quickened his pace, surpassed a dragon, and walked quickly towards Tianxia. Tinpu narrowed his eyes and drew his sword directly. Yin, a crisp sound of a knife appeared in everyone's ears. At the same time, the murderous aura on Tianxia's body became stronger and stronger, rising rapidly. Just when Tianxia was about to use his sword, Ye Wuwei pressed his palm on Tianxia's shoulder. He turned around slowly, looked at Shi Hu who was getting closer and closer, and said indifferently, "Then you go die." This sentence was equivalent to a death sentence for Shi Hu. After saying that, he struck out with a palm without hesitation. Under the dim sunlight, everyone vaguely saw a palm print fly out and hit Shi Hu. Boom! There was a muffled sound. Shi Hu's body exploded into a ball of blood mist. What? In an instant, countless people's jaws dropped. This is the right guardian stone tiger of Wanyao Mountain. It is rumored that Shi Hu has broken through to the first-level Grand Master realm. Just blow him up? Everyone knew what the palm print that just appeared in the sun was. That's inner energy leaving the body. A second-level martial arts master can already control the internal energy to leave the body. However, it is absolutely impossible to be as solid as the palm print just now, and no internal energy escapes during the flight. A first-level Grandmaster who specializes in Fuhu Fist and has beaten his body to an extremely powerful state. It was actually exploded by someone's palm from the air. Above the first-grade Grandmaster, there is the extremely rare Martial Emperor realm. The top Martial Emperor in the Martial Emperor realm can easily kill a first-grade Grandmaster. However, it is absolutely impossible to blast a first-grade Grandmaster with one palm from the air. This difficulty is too high. In an instant, Two words that could only be looked up to appeared in the minds of countless people: martial saint. The person who took action was most likely a rare and powerful person in the martial saint realm. Thinking of this, countless people's breath froze. What a big trough! Heavenly punishment actually has a strong man in the martial saint realm sitting in charge. No wonder the three of them dared to break into the Kui family who had already laid a dragnet. Even if you look at the entire world, the forces with strong men in the martial saint realm are top-notch existences. God's punishment. It was so terrifying. These people all guessed that Ye Wuwei was the martial saint, and the people in Wanyao mountain who were closest to Ye Wuwei naturally also guessed it. After Shihu's body was exploded, blood mist flew to everyone in Wanyao mountain. However, these people have no emotions at the moment. The lingering power of that palm had already made their livers and gallbladders burst and their scalps numb. The dragon suddenly stopped, solemnly saluted Ye Wuwei with his fists raised, and said in a deep voice, "Wanyao mountain, come as ordered." The faces of everyone in Wanyao mountain changed rapidly, from dissatisfaction at first, to fear, and then to admiration. At the same time, everyone paid tribute to Ye Wuwei in various weird postures. Most of the people in Wanyao mountain are crazy martial artists, and their worship of the strong is engraved in their bones. Ye Wuwei's palm directly subdued these rebellious martial arts lunatics in Wanyao mountain. And this is exactly why Ye Wuwei took action personally. Although Tianxia can kill Shihu, the shock it brings is far less than that of Ye Wuwei himself. This palm is not only for Wanyaishan to show off its power, but also for Demon Sect and Qingyan Temple who have never shown up. Magic Gate. Come on command. At this time, a deep shout sounded. A man wearing an evil ghost mask quickly arrived outside Kui's gate with a group of menacing warriors in black. These people are exactly the people from the Demon Sect. Under the leadership of the masked man, everyone in the Demon Sect came behind Ye Wuwei and greeted Ye Wuwei with fists. Martial Saint. No matter where you are, it is a peak that countless warriors can only look up to. Chapter 92. The people from the Demon Sect have been here for a long time, and they just showed up now. It's interesting. The Demon Sect is willing to make friends with an extremely terrifying martial saint realm expert, even if it doesn't require the sky-high price of a killing order. The man wearing the mask should be the new leader of the Demon Sect. Damn it, if I had known that heaven punishment had a martial saint, we should have accepted the killing order. Under the gaze of fiery eyes, the man wearing the evil ghost mask looked at Ye Wuwei solemnly and said, "Jun Wuxi, the leader of the Demon Sect, has met my senior. Martial arts is a journey, and those who have mastered it are the teachers. Jun Wuxi is known as a martial arts prodigy that the Demon Sect has only seen for a century, and the Demon Sect has high hopes for it. He has already entered the martial emperor realm and is trying to attack the martial saint. Facing a genuine martial saint, it's not an exaggeration to call him senior. Yet." Ye Wuwei nodded lightly. Swish swish. Whoosh. At this moment, a series of sounds broke through the air. Densely packed warriors appeared on Kui's tall and thick courtyard wall. These people moved like wind, with dexterous movements, and with a few bounces, they arrived outside Kui's gate. Most of these are warriors of the Kui family. Others came to support the elite forces of various forces of the Kui family. As soon as these people landed, they formed a fighting formation outside Kui's gate and looked at Ye Wuwei and others with vigilance. Second-grade martial arts masters were scattered in all directions, faintly surrounding Ye Wuwei and others. Boom boom boom. Several muffled sounds. 4 figures descended from the sky and landed at the forefront of Kui's warriors. These 4 people are none other than Kui Wuhen, the patriarch of the Kui clan, and the 3 first-grade grandmasters invited by the Kui clan. Kui Wuhen's face was gloomy, his eyes were cold, and his eyes kept moving on everyone. Finally, his eyes fell on Ye Wuwei. Judging from their positions, everyone was centered around Ye Wuwei. Kui Wuhen gritted his teeth and said coldly, "Are you Ye Ko fan?" Ye Wuwei's eyes were calm and he said indifferently, "It used to be." "Ha ha. Ha ha ha." Kui Wuhen looked up to the sky and laughed, and said ferociously, "It's fine if it's you. Is my son still alive?" When he thought that his son might no longer be alive, the hatred in Kui Wuhen's heart was overwhelming. He was so angry that he burst into laughter. "Ye Wuwei, I left him a complete body." Although he was mentally prepared, Kui Wuhen still staggered when he heard these words, as if he had been struck by lightning. "Dead. He is actually dead. Okay, okay. I'll also leave you a complete body later." Kui Wuhan looked at Ye Wuwei with red eyes, wishing to eat Ye Wuwei alive. If eyes could hurt, Ye Wuwei would have been pierced by thousands of arrows. Ye Wuwei did not answer this sentence and said coldly, "Don't waste time here. Call your people out. If you dared to surround and kill me back then, you, Kui, were destined to suffer this fate." Ye Wuwei knew that Kui Wuhan had hidden tricks, and there was no way he only had such a small number of people. He also wanted Kui Wuhan's helpers to gather together and solve the problem together. "Okay." Kui Wuhan said with a ferocious smile, "As you wish. Everyone come out." As soon as these words came out, several groups of warriors rushed out of the buildings outside the Kui clan. These people dress differently. There are strong men from the martial alliance. There are also strong men sent by Qingyan, one of the 4 wealthy families in Chengdu. There are also other masters sent by the men in black robes to support last night. As soon as these people appeared, they blocked the escape route of Ye Wuwei and others. They formed an encirclement with Kui's masters and surrounded Ye Wuwei and others. This is not over yet. Rumble. There were roars of chariots. A procession of chariots came quickly. Soldiers in uniforms with an iron-blooded aura gathered quickly, with great momentum. Various heavy weapons were aimed at Ye Wuwei and others, the black muzzles reflecting a penetrating luster. Seeing this scene, the hearts of countless onlookers trembled. Is this the background of the Kui family in the divine capital? Not only have so many powerful people been invited to help out, but also people from the War Department have been invited. Those heavy weapons are equipped with armor-piercing bullets specially designed to deal with warriors. A fully armed master in the military, holding a special weapon, is enough to defeat warriors of the same level. Kui Wuhan clasped his hands and said respectfully, "Senior Li, show up." Many people's hearts skipped a beat when they heard Kui Wuhan shouting senior and his demeanor being so respectful. Even the faces of Yulong, the owner of 10,000 Monster Mountain, and Jun Wuxi, the leader of Demon Sect, turned ugly. Many people looked around, looking for the senior Li whom Kui Wuhan was talking about. But nothing was found. Just when everyone was wondering if Kui Wuhan had been let go, a figure floated down from the sky. This man carries a simple long sword on his back, his beard and hair are all white, he looks like a legendary immortal coming to earth. This is an old man, but his skin is rosy and there is no trace of age. His eyes were as sharp as a sword, as if he could see through other people's minds at a glance. In his hand, he also held a chessboard. Seeing this person appear, there were gasps of cold air all around. "Hi, it's him, Sword Sect Li Chunkaiyu." "What? He is Li Chunkaiyu, the sword god who is the #1 martial artist in the central region of Great Xia, the leader of swordsmanship, and 4th on the holy list of Great Xia." Kui Wuhan was able to invite Senior Li here. Kui's energy is really terrifying. This is an old god-like figure. Seeing Li Chunkaiyu appear, huge waves surged in the hearts of all onlookers. Yulong and Jun Wuxi both groaned secretly. Li Chunkaiu's strength ranks at the forefront even in the entire Daxia. This is the 4th person on the holy list. Martial Saint is just one of his many titles. Senior Li. Kui Wuhan walked up to Li Chunkaiyu and clasped his fists respectfully. Li Chunkaiyu nodded lightly, then looked at Ye Wuwei, smiled and said, "I came here at the invitation, but not at the Kui family's invitation. Master Ye, with your strength, once you let go, this god will be destroyed in half. Why don't we try it in another way? If I lose, I will turn around and leave." With that said, Li Chunkaiyu threw out the chessboard. The chessboard slowly fell to the ground controlled by internal energy. Then, he took out 2 boxes of chess pieces, one black and one white. One box floated to Ye Wuwei's feet, and the other box was placed at his own feet. This simple exposure of his hands made Ye Wuwei's eyes light up. The inner energy is used so superbly. This Li Chunkaiyu is worthy of being the #1 martial artist in the central region of Great Xia. Ye Wuwei shook his head and said solemnly, "I am here today just for revenge. Since you were not invited by Mr. Kui, please don't interfere." Kui Wuhan became anxious and said, "Senior Li, this guy is extremely arrogant, has a surly personality, and kills people like crazy. Don't play nonsense with him, just kill him." As soon as these words came out, a cold shout sounded from a big tree in the distance, "Kui Wuhan, shut the FK up. What the hell are you? How dare you command Senior Li? People from the Martial Alliance, please get back to the Martial Alliance immediately, otherwise don't blame me for cleaning up the family." As soon as this person's voice came out, the faces of everyone in the martial alliance changed wildly. As you command. All the martial arts masters did not dare to hesitate and left quickly. Seeing this scene, all the onlookers were shocked. In just a few words, the people from Wumeng were dismissed. He said he wanted to clear the door. Could it be said that this is someone from the Martial Alliance headquarters in the imperial capital? Call out! Suddenly, a token flew from a big tree and fell into the hands of a general. At the same time, a cold and powerful voice came, "Everyone in the Central Region War Department, return to the station immediately." When the war general saw the token in his hand, his expression changed wildly, and he shouted, "Follow the order of the God of War. Everyone, return to the station immediately." Then, the strong men from the Central Region War Department left quickly. Mars? There is actually a God of War watching the battle. This is something no one expected. People from the Wumeng headquarters are here. The God of War is coming. What does that mean? The same answer comes to everyone's mind. Daxia's senior officials in the imperial capital are also paying attention to today's dispute. Chapter 93. Seeing the people from the Central Region War Department and the Martial Alliance withdrawing, Kui Wuhen's face became very ugly. Without these two major helpers, it would be very difficult for Kui Wuhen to keep all the intruders behind. Amitabha. Qingyan Temple. Come on, command. At this time, a loud Buddha's chant sounded. Everyone followed the sound and saw a group of monks appearing in everyone's field of vision. These monks all have fierce looks and fierce eyes. He doesn't look like a monk, but like a gangster. The first two monks were wearing blood-red cassocks. The cassock was so red that it seemed to be dyed red with blood. The monks of Qingyan Temple did not step into the encirclement, but stood outside the encirclement. Two monks in blood-red cassocks bowed to Ye Wuwei and Li Chunkaiu. Impossible. Wuxin. I've met Senior. Lawless. This Dharma title is a bit shocking. I've never heard of this lawless name. Has this just come out of the martial arts world? Who knows? Everyone in Qingyan Temple is ruthless, and these two are definitely not good friends. Just when everyone was talking about it. Amitabha. Another Buddha chant sounded. A handsome monk with snow-like robes and a jade tree standing in the wind appeared on the tall courtyard wall of the Kui family with a rosary in his hand. Immediately afterwards, two burly warrior monks with bulging temples and holding sticks appeared beside the handsome monk. The two monks had sinister faces and fierce faces, and their eyes were as white as copper bells, like a glaring vatra. Swish, swish, swish. More than 10 monks appeared with swords in their hands and lined up on the courtyard wall. The handsome monk in snow-like robes put his hands together and bowed to Ye Wuwei and Li Chunkaiu. "Lei in Temple, Shi Tathagata, I have met two seniors." Shi Tathagata's voice is mellow and has a natural affinity. Immediately, Shi Tathagata bowed to the others again and saluted, "Neither humble nor arrogant, Lei in Temple is here only for Qingyan Temple. I have no intention of causing conflict with others. Please forgive me." Lei in Temple? Release Tathagata? Hearing that Shi Ru came from Baojiamen, shocking discussions broke out all around. Damn it! He's actually from Lei in Temple. I heard a rumor that the current Buddhist disciple of Buddhism came from Lei in Temple, so I guess he is the one. Lei in Temple is a holy place for Buddhism. Even though Shi Tathagata is young, the fact that Lei in Temple dares to send him out means that his strength has been recognized by the top management of Lei in Temple. In recent years, Buddhism has kept a very deep secret about who the contemporary Buddhist disciples are. It seems that they have been holding back a lot. Many people were not surprised by the appearance of the monks from Lei in Temple. After all, Bai Xiaosheng had already said it on the dark web. Qingyan Temple and Daxia Buddhism are incompatible with each other. When Qingyan Temple comes out of the mountain, Daxia Buddhism will definitely not stand idly by. Ye Wuwei glanced at Shi Tathagata and shouted, "Do it!" As soon as these words came out. It's like a decree coming. Tianxia went straight towards Kui Wuhen. A dragon led the people from Wanyao Mountain to kill Kui's warriors. When Jun Wuxi saw the people from Wanyao Mountain aiming at the Kui family, he slowly turned his head, looked at the warriors in the direction of the Tian family, and shouted sharply, "Kill!" Before he finished speaking, he led the strong men from the demon sect and rushed away. The monks of Qingyan Temple stood motionless. Because the people from Lei in Temple were eyeing them. They also want to compete with the people from Lei in Temple. Lawless narrowed his eyes and looked at Shi Tululai. His inner energy was flowing crazily, and his momentum was getting stronger and stronger. Shi Tathagata's expression remained unchanged, but his majestic aura was also rising steadily. A certain moment. The mighty Tian Long. Shi Tathagata let out a deep roar and shot straight towards the monks in Kukan Temple. The two monks with eyes as white as copper bells jumped up high, crossed the battlefield, and landed where everyone in Qingyan Temple was. For a moment, the shouts of killing were loud. A series of terrifying and violent air waves are layered like waves, blowing in all directions. Countless branches and leaves fell to the ground, and even the building was shaken slightly. Many spectators were frightened and had chills running down their spines. They were frightened by a battle of this intensity, and they couldn't even think about joining it. In the center of the warband, there is an exceptionally quiet area. It was exactly where Ye Wuwei and Li Chunkai were standing. The two stood opposite each other and looked at each other quietly. Ye Wuwei said in a deep voice, "If Senior Li insists on stopping me, there is no need to compete in the chess game. Let's see the real results in Kung Fu." After saying that, Ye Wuwei struck out with a palm. A palm print formed by condensing internal energy directly hit the chessboard on the ground. Seeing that the chessboard on the ground was about to be shattered, Li Chunkai turned his wrist, and a small sword condensed with inner strength quickly shot towards the palm print. Boom! The palm print and the small sword met in the air, making a muffled sound. Seeing this, Li Chunkai's eyes narrowed, showing a very domineering inner energy. The inner energy condensed sword in his hand contains his understanding of the way of the sword and is full of sword intent. He has never been at a disadvantage in the internal energy competition. But Ye Wuwei's casual palm was evenly matched with his inner strength sword. My father-in-law is still afraid of future generations, but my husband must not be young. The future life is terrible. Li Chunkai sighed with relief on his face. There are young people like this in Daxia, so why not be strong? Li Chunkai slapped his palm on the ground. In the chess box at his feet, a white stone flew up. Li Chunkai flicked his finger, and the white arrow shot toward Ye Wuwei like a sharp sword. Ye Wuwei stamped his foot, and 3 black stones flew out of the chess box at his feet. One of the black stones just stopped the white stone coming from the laser. The black and white pieces collided in the air and shattered into powder. Then, Ye Wuwei raised his hand and quickly tapped the remaining 2 sunspots with his fingers. The 2 sunspots were like bullets coming out of the barrel, shooting towards Li Chunkai rapidly. One shot to Li Chunkai's eyebrows, and the other shot to Li Chunkai's pubic area. Seeing this, Li Chunkai did not dodge and allowed the sunspot to fly in front of him. When the sunspot was about to hit Li Chunkai, a layer of protective energy appeared on Li Chunkai's body. The 2 sunspots exploded into a ball of powder. Feeling the power contained in these 2 sunspots, Li Chunkai couldn't help but marvel in his heart. Good boy! At such a young age, with such deep and domineering inner strength, the future is limitless. Good! Li Chunkai smiled and said, "If you can take over my 10,000 swords and return to the clan, I will turn around and leave." As soon as he finished speaking, Li Chunkai slapped his palm on the ground. The chess box on the ground immediately jumped into the air. When the chess box flew above Li Chunkai's head, the chess box cracked from the middle. White stones scattered downward one by one. While Bai Zi was falling, Li Chunkai suddenly stretched out his hands, and 2 soul-stirring terrifying inner energies surged out. All the white pieces are hovering in the air. Immediately afterwards, the white pieces spread out in the air regularly. The edges of the chess pieces all faced Ye Wuwei. It was like the tip of a small sword was pointed at Ye Wuwei. Seeing this scene, countless people took a breath. What a terrifying inner energy this is, and how skilled you must be to control it to be able to do this. Even the warriors from all sides in the battle couldn't help but slow down their attack pace and focus on the central competition of the battle group. The result of the competition between Li Chunkai and Ye Wuwei will affect the situation of the entire battle group. Chapter 94. Kui Wuhan is fighting with Tianxia. I was crying in my heart. Tianxia's fighting style is too fierce. It's a life and death style of play. Once you let down your guard, you will be killed in an instant. Kui Wuhan's nerves were extremely tense and he mustered up his spirits to the fullest. Even so, they can only defend passively. Tianxia is already the top martial emperor and is trying to attack the martial saint realm. And Kui Wuhan is an intermediate martial emperor, so naturally he cannot be Tianxia's opponent. After hearing what Li Chunkai said, Kui Wuhan's heart sank to the bottom. If Li Chunkai leaves, who can stop Ye Fan? But Senior Li's 10,000 swords return to the sect is his famous stunt. Although Ye Wuwei also became a martial saint, he was still too young after all. I hope Wang Jian returns to his clan and kills Ye Wuwei directly. As a result, this group of people will be leaderless and will fall apart in an instant. However, to be on the safe side, more preparation is needed. Kui Wohen, while resisting the attack of the heavenly demon like a violent wind and huge waves, shouted, "Tell the ancient master to bring that person out." Yes. A Kui clan warrior responded and rushed into the Kui clan territory. The center of the battle group. Under the attention of countless people, the white pieces controlled by Li Chunkai began to spin in the air. For every additional rotation, the inner energy contained in the white stone will increase by 1 point. Seeing this scene, Ye Wuwei's heart moved. His feet shook, and all the black stones in the chest box beside his feet were blown away. Ye Wuwei stretched out his hands, and two violent and domineering internal energy suddenly jumped out like a dragon coming out of its cave. The terrifying power contained in it made all the warriors around him feel frightened. Even Li Chunkai looked at Ye Wuwei in surprise and said to himself, "How did this kid practice? Why is his inner strength so domineering?" Ye Wuwei ignored Li Chunkai's gaze. He followed the example of Li Chunkai's Wangjian Gazong, and controlled the sunspots to be arranged in the air in an orderly manner. Then, the edges of all the sunspots were aimed at Li Chunkai. Seeing this scene, the onlookers' eyes bulged. "What do you mean? Are you trying to learn from Senior Li's 10,000 swords returning sect? Damn it! You can't. Is this okay? The essence of Wangjian Gazong is not so easy to learn. No matter how talented you are, it is impossible to achieve it. To be able to become a martial saint, one must have unimaginable martial arts talent. Perhaps this young master Ye is that kind of person." There was a lot of discussion, and most people were pessimistic about Ye Wuwei's behavior of learning and selling now. It is impossible to deal with the return of the 10,000 swords to the clan. Many masters of swordsmanship in Wangjian Gui sect know it, and many of them were taught by Li Chunkai himself. But Li Chunkai's Wangjian Gazong is the only one in existence. Otherwise, it would not have become his famous stunt. Under the gaze of one after another, Ye Wuwei also controlled Heza to start spinning in the air. Seeing this, Li Chunkai's eyes lit up. With his eyesight, he could naturally see that Ye Wuwei's Wangjian Gazong was different. If Bai Zi controlled by Li Chunkai is filled with internal energy, it is an unparalleled sharp sword. Then the Heza controlled by Ye Wuwei is a thick dark iron heavy sword. A heavy sword has no edge, and a heavy sword has no skill. What is important is that one force can reduce 10, and great force can produce miracles. And this is consistent with Ye Wuwei's own inner strength. Ye Wuwei's inner strength is fierce and domineering, which is in line with the characteristics of the ape. Those who learn from me will live, those who resemble me will die. This is martial arts talent. It is difficult to paint the skin of a tiger, and many people's minds are imprisoned. After studying for a lifetime, I only learned a little bit. A truly talented warrior will combine his own characteristics to exploit his strengths and avoid weaknesses, and find a different path. Li Chunkai was in no rush to take action. Waiting for Ye Wuwei to finish preparations, I want to see how Ye Wuwei's version of Wangjian Gazong will perform. Under Li Chunkai's gaze, the sunspot controlled by Ye Wuwei rotated rapidly, with more and more internal energy injected into it, and the rotation speed became faster and faster. Until I saw that the sunspot's rotation speed reached the upper limit, and it would collapse any faster. Li Chunkai gathered his thoughts, pointed his index and middle fingers together with his sword, pointed at Ye Wuwei, and shouted, "Go! Boo-hoo-hoo!" The white stones are like sharp swords, flying toward Ye Wuwei with unparalleled sharp sword intent. So many white stones were combined together to form a huge sword array. The powerful sword intent contained in it made the warriors around them feel chills in their chests. If it were him, it would definitely be the end of 1,000 swords piercing his heart. Seeing Li Chunkai take action, Ye Wuwei pushed his palm forward and said in a deep voice, "Up!" All the black ones went towards the white ones, like brave warriors who were not afraid of death. Boom boom boom! White and black collided in the air. The inner energy contained burst out, making earth-shattering explosions. Waves of air formed into strong winds, blowing in all directions. The surrounding warriors were all frightened and hurriedly stayed away from the two of them. Damn it! It's really blocked. Is this the talent of the martial saint? It's too scary. There is a problem. Mr. Ye used 2 more black stones before, so there are still 2 white stones that cannot be solved. This should not be counted as taking over Wangjian and returning to the clan. All the spectators were stunned when they saw that Ye Wuwei's Wangjian Gui zone, which he was currently learning, actually blocked Li Chunkaiu's Wangjian Gui zone. However, there is a hidden strong person who discovered the problem. That means Li Chunkaiu has 2 more white stones. However, what puzzled all the spectators was that after the white stones and black stones continued to collide and explode, there were no extra white stones. How is this possible? In the confused eyes of the spectators, Li Chunkaiu solemnly clasped his fists towards Ye Wuwei. Master Ye's understanding is amazing. Please, Mr. Ye, for the sake of fellow Daxia people, please don't hurt innocent people. Farewell. After saying that, Li Chunkaiu rose into the sky. Just leave as soon as you say it, without any delay. At the moment when Hezi and Beza collided, Li Chunkaiu truly understood Ye Wuwei's operation. The first few black and white stones indeed exploded after collision. But the black piece that exploded later did not explode after colliding with the white piece. It was the internal energy shock after the initial explosion of Hezi and Beza, which caused the Hezi who were about to collapse to self-destruct one after another. After Kuriko self-destructed, his violent inner energy overflowed, and he forced the nearby Zi to self-destruct as well. Therefore, it is not a black stone versus a white stone at all. It's a box of black stones versus a box of white stones. This method completely combines its own characteristics and gives insight into the opponent's advantages. Such understanding is amazing. Seeing that Li Chunkaiu left easily, everyone in Wanyao Mountain and Demon Sect was overjoyed. Ye Wuwei looked at Li Chunkaiu's back. If the accuracy of controlling each chess piece were to be compared, Ye Wuwei knew that he could not match Li Chunkaiu. Therefore, the idea of following the sunspot's self-destruction came up. Ye Wuwei withdrew his gaze, looked at Kui Wohen, and said coldly, "Do you have any helpers? If not, then you can die." Seeing Ye Wuwei's indifferent eyes behind the mask, Kui Wohen felt chilled all over. With Li Chunkaiu gone, only that person can restrain Ye Ko Fan. Kui Wohen looked up to the sky and shouted, "Bring Qin Feng to me." Ye Ko Fan, you don't want Qin Feng to die in front of you. Qin Feng? Hearing this name, Ye Wuwei's pupil shrank. Uncle Feng? Chapter 95. Li Chunkaiu is gone. Everyone felt that Kui Wohen would definitely die. Unexpectedly, he still had a trump card to limit Ye Wuwei. In the curious eyes of countless people, 2 figures appeared on the wall of Kui's tall courtyard. One of them is none other than first-grade Grandmaster Furukawa. The other person is a middle-aged man with the vicissitudes of life. The middle-aged man has an ordinary appearance, dull eyes, and looks very depressed. While Kui Wohen was resisting the fierce attack of Tianxia, he shouted, "Ye Ko Fan, look who is on the wall of the courtyard. If you don't want him to die in front of you, take these people out of the capital immediately and promise never to take action against my Kui family. Otherwise, you will only get his body." Ye Wuwei looked at the vicissitudes of the middle-aged man on the courtyard wall, with fierce gleams in his eyes. It's really Uncle Feng. Why is Uncle Feng in Kui's hands? Ye Wuwei had extremely deep feelings for Qin Feng. It was Qin Feng who picked him up and brought him to the Ye family, allowing him to survive. After the adoptive mother passed away, the adoptive father renewed the relationship. Ye Wuwei became a thorn in his stepmother's side. The stepmother did everything possible to target Ye Wuwei and abuse him. Ye Wuwei was even deprived of food for several days. It was Qin Feng who braved the punishment and stepmother's anger to steal food for Ye Wuwei. One time, the stepmother was so cruel that she had someone break Qin Feng's leg. For Qin Feng, Ye Wuwei only felt grateful and guilty. In Ye Wuwei's heart, he has always regarded Qin Feng as his father. Uncle Feng. Ye Wuwei looked at Qin Feng's vicissitudes of life, his voice trembling. On the courtyard wall. When Qin Feng heard Ye Wuwei's voice, his breathing suddenly became rapid, and he was shocked and said, "Xiaofan, is it really you?" Then, 2 lines of excited tears burst out of Qin Feng's eyes. He was shaking all over and choked with sobs. "It's okay, it's okay. God has eyes. Young master's bloodline is still there." Next to Qin Feng. When Guhi heard Ye Wuwei's voice, his body froze. There's something wrong with this voice. It sounds familiar. It seems to be Lord Ye. No, it's a bit unlike the calm and steady voice of Hall Master Ye. Thinking of this, Guhi looked at the battle between Kui Wohen and Tianxia again. For some reason, Tianxi's fighting style also gave him a familiar feeling. This relentless fighting style seems a bit familiar. And this fierce momentum has very distinctive characteristics. It seems to be the unique style of Tianxia, one of the four kings of the Temple of Punishment. When Furukawa was traveling outside the territory, he had seen Tianxia take action. That fierce style was still fresh in his memory. One person's voice sounded like Hall Master Yet. A person is very much like a devil. If these horses are put together, they are right. In an instant, Furukawa's scalp went numb. Why the hell is this so pointless? He stood on the opposite side of Hall Master Ye again. Moreover, a person that Hall Master Ye cares about very much is still in his hands. No, you have to make up for your mistakes. At this moment, Gu He saw that his friend Jin Wuhuang almost died at the hands of a dragon. Stop! In desperation, Furukawa shouted. What he never expected was that the shout made everyone stop. Even Tianxia stopped attacking Kui Wuhen. Because everyone knew that the hostage in Gu He's hands was someone extremely close to Ye Wuwei. Everyone stopped their actions one after another. Seeing Tianxia stop, Kui Wuhen laughed, feeling quite proud. He jumped up to the courtyard wall, bowed to Gu He very solemnly, and said loudly, "Thank you, Master Gu." This gift directly made Furukawa's scalp numb. Who the hell is with you? Aren't you asking me to die? Gu He ignored him and asked Jin Wushuan loudly, "Brother Jin, are you okay? Come up quickly." Jin Wushuo shook his head gratefully, "It's okay." He said he was fine, but in fact there were wounds all over his body. One of the 3 first-grade grandmasters invited by Kui Wuhen dealt with Lin Lin of 10,000 Monster Mountain. Jin Wuhuang teamed up with another first-grade grandmaster to withstand the attack of the master of Wanyao Mountain. Yulong is a junior martial emperor, and Jin Wushuo and another first-grade grandmaster have a hard time resisting him. Seeing Gu He calling Jin Wuhuang back, Kui Wuhen cupped his fists and raised his hands towards the other 2 first-grade grandmasters, and said sincerely, "Thank you for your help today. Everyone come back." At first, Kui Wuhen did not expect that Ye Wuwei turned out to be a powerful martial saint. What he didn't expect even more was that Qin Feng's role would be so great. Kui Wuhen's tense heartstrings suddenly relaxed. He thought optimistically. As long as Qin Feng is in hand, he will take Ding Ye Wuwei. Soon, Jin Wushu came to the courtyard wall. Gu He looked at Kui Wuhen and said sternly, "Clan leader Kui, brother Jin fought bloody battles for the Kui family today, please settle the favor you owe." Kui Wuhen nodded repeatedly, "It's over. Grandmaster Jin sacrificed his life for my Kui family. Now I owe Grandmaster Jin a favor." Gu He nodded, looked at Jin Wushu again, and said solemnly, "Brother Jin, do you believe me?" Jin Wuhuan was instantly furious and said angrily, "Gu He, what do you mean by this? You and I have cut each other's throats, how could I not believe you?" Koga nodded again. "Don't worry. The operation to be done later may be a bit unexpected. First, give Jin Wushu a vaccination." Gu He suddenly looked behind Kui Wuhen and said in shock, "Li Jianshen, why are you back?" As soon as these words came out, everyone including Kui Wuhen was shocked and turned around subconsciously. That's it now. Furukawa grabbed Qin Feng with one hand and Jin Wushu with the other. His legs suddenly exerted force and jumped into the air. Although Furukawa has been in the backyard, the Kui warrior told him what happened in front when he came to deliver the message. Therefore, Furukawa knew that Li Chunkaiyu had appeared. When he rose into the sky, Gu He looked at Ye Wuwei and said loudly, "Mr. Ye, Mr. Kui and I are not in the same group." When Kui Wuhen turned around and saw no one behind him, he reacted instantly. After hearing what Gu He said, Kui Wuhen almost exploded with anger. Only with Qin Feng in his hands can he be safe and sound. Now that Gu He is running away with the hostages, the entire Kui family will be killed by him. "You dare, ancient thief!" Kui Wuhen's face was so angry that he twisted his face, and all the energy in his body exploded, shooting towards Gu He. Seeing this, Tianxia rose into the sky and intercepted Kui Wuhen in the air. Tianxia attacked crazily, and Kui Wuhen's already injured body received countless new injuries. "Quickly retreat!" The strong men of Tianjia saw that something was wrong and directly ordered a retreat. Chase! Jun Muxi gave a cold shout and led everyone from the demon sect to hunt down the Tian family warriors. Li Chunkaiyu is gone, and the hostages are gone. Staying here will lead to death. Keep killing! A dragon roared loudly and led the people from Wanyao Mountain to attack Kui's warriors. As for Lei Yan Temple and Qingyan Temple, I don't know where it went. Seeing the sudden reversal, all the spectators were stunned. This is really a series of twists and turns. Ye Wuwei didn't pay attention to the changes in the situation. After catching Qin Feng, his voice trembled and he said excitedly, "Uncle Feng, are you okay?" Qin Feng was so excited that he burst into tears and shook his head repeatedly, "It's okay, it's okay." Ye Wuwei checked Qin Feng's whole body and found that there were no wounds, so he felt relieved. "I've met Mr. Yat." Gu He clasped his fists at Ye Wuwei respectfully. Jin Wuxia next to him was still a little confused. This role change was too fast. Just now, I was in the hostile camp, and now I'm here. Furukawa turned Jin Wuxia with his elbow, and the latter suddenly came back to his senses and respectfully clasped his fists at Ye Wuwei, "Mr. Yat." Ye Wuwei took a deep look at Gu He and nodded to the two of them. Immediately, he looked at Kui Wuhan and Tianjia and said, "I'll kill him myself." Boom! Kui Wuhan was struck by Tianjia's sword and fell to the ground, creating a big hole in the ground. Then, Tianjia retreated. Ye Wuwei strode forward, with violent murderous intent accompanying every step he took, rising sharply every step of the way. Chapter 96. The cause of tomorrow is the effect of today. Kui Wuhan, your death has come. Ye Wuwei's violent murderous intent pressed towards Kui Wuhan overwhelmingly. Kui Wuhan's nerves were tingling, as if thousands of steel needles were piercing his flesh and blood. Puff! Kui Wuhan felt tightness in his chest and spit out a mouthful of blood. He looked at Ye Wuwei, with a look of horror in his eyes, and said with a sharp expression, "Ye Ko Fan, my Kui family members were not the only ones who surrounded and killed you back then. If you kill me, don't even think about knowing who the mastermind is. Let me go, I'll give you a list." At this moment, Kui Wuhan only had endless regret in his heart. If he had known that Ye Wuwei could grow to his current height, he should have taken action himself to avoid future troubles. A disdainful smile appeared on Ye Wuwei's lips, and he sneered, "It was the siege organized by the Tianjia, right? Don't worry, people from the Tian family will come to the underworld to find you soon." Hearing this, Kui Wuhan's eyes widened, and a look of despair flashed in his eyes. He did not expect that Ye Wuwei actually knew who was the leader of the siege and killing incident that year. He no longer has any trump cards in his hand. The outcome has been decided. Great compassion palm. Ye Wuwei shouted in his heart and raised both palms. Kui Wuhan is a strong man in the martial emperor realm. He has a strong body and his muscles and bones have been trained to be very tough. If he wanted to blast him into a bloody mist, Ye Wuwei had to be more serious and use his four powers. The Great Compassion Palm was created by Ye Wuwei, and it is the only way to destroy corpses and eliminate traces. A strong man in the martial emperor realm received the Great Mercy Palm. One palm has a bleeding hole, and two palms can see the ancestors. Guaranteed there will be no residue left. The reason why it is called Great Compassion is that it means compassion for heaven and mankind. The world is too bitter. Ye Wuwei and Hessian crossed the enemy and returned to the west, getting rid of the prison of the world. Boom! Kui Wuhan's body exploded into a ball of blood mist. The residual energy blasted onto the ground, causing the ground to shake as if an earthquake was coming. The patriarch is dead. Run! Seeing Kui Wuhan being directly bombed, all the warriors of the Kui family and the strong men invited by the Kui family were filled with despair. Kui Wuhan died, leaving the whole group without a leader. These people had no intention of continuing the fight and ran away. Their only escape route is the Kui clan. So everyone rushed to flee to the Kui clan, hoping to escape. Kill! The Tianjia roared loudly and flew away like an arrow from a string. The owner of Wanyao Mountain, Yulong, waved his hand and shouted, "Kill me, don't let anyone go." After that, he led the people from Wanyao Mountain to chase and kill him. Even though this group of people didn't have many complete limbs, they didn't run very slowly. Especially those who only have one leg, they have trained their single leg to be very powerful, jumping very fast. Seeing that Tianjia was the first to pursue him, Ye Wuwei did not participate in the pursuit. As long as the evil spirits are here, none of the remaining minions can even think of escaping. Boom boom boom! Boom! Deafening loud noises came from the Kui clan. Houses were blown down one after another, rockeries were smashed, and towering trees were cut off. The entire Kui clan has experienced unprecedented destruction. Boss, the people from the Tian family have escaped, and the people from the demon sect are chasing them. The Anbu people followed quietly, but they haven't taken action yet. What should we do now? At this time, Ye Liu's voice sounded, reporting the situation on the other side. Ye Wuwei squinted in the direction of Tianjia and asked, have the people from Qiling been dispatched? Have you ever taken the opportunity to find their lair in the divine capital? When he was in Dragon City, Ye Wuwei already knew that Tianjia was the mastermind of the siege and killing incident that year. At that time, he deliberately alerted Kui Wuhan and sent Ye Kaofan is back. Its purpose is to attract other forces involved in the siege and killing. Ye Wuwei's idea at that time was to use the execution order to attract everyone's attention and draw their attention to the Kui family in the divine capital. And he himself went to Tianjia alone. However, when I came to Chengdu, I learned that there was an organization named Qiling behind the Tian family. Ye Wuwei changed his mind. If he didn't show up to Kui's side, the organization called Qiling wouldn't show up easily. After all, as long as he hides in the dark, he is a huge threat. Ye Wuwei had many contacts with mysterious organizations like this and acted very carefully. Ye Lu nodded. According to the information from Ye Yi, several groups of mysterious people entered Tianjia one after another today. If nothing else, he is a powerful person who enlightens the spirit. Based on the analysis of the movements of those mysterious people, several suspected locations have been identified. However, we haven't alerted the snake yet, and we can't determine where their lair is. Ye Wuwei's eyes flashed and he said, those who contact the demon sect don't need to chase those warriors sent by the Tian family. These people have never said that they are from the Tian family from the beginning to the end. Since the Tian family sent them here, they have already regarded them as abandoned children. Let Jun Muxi take people to Tianjia quietly and wait for news outside Tianjia. In addition, ask Ye Yi to send people to capture the other men in black robes who came to Kui last night and secretly escort them outside the Tian family. After we pass, we will go straight in. Qiling, Tianjia, and other forces. Ye Wuwei will not let anyone go. All must die. Yes. Ye Lu nodded heavily. Ye Wuwei thought for a moment and then said, let the ANBU people go and keep an eye on the suspect locations. Once you receive the order, go straight in and be sure to protect the files inside. Ye Lu nodded, took out his cell phone, and quickly sent out the instructions Ye Wuwei had just given. Now, the shouts of death within the Kui family have gradually become smaller, and the battle should be over soon. Ye Wuwei walked to Qin Feng and said solemnly, Uncle Feng, I still have something to deal with. I'll send someone to take you to a safe place later. When the things at hand are finished, we can have a good time reminiscing about the past. Although there are a lot of things in my heart that I want to say to Qin Feng, but now I am short of time, so I can only wait until I am done with my work and then say it slowly. The safe place Ye Wuwei mentioned was naturally Dragon City. There are Yeju and a group of strong men who killed the temple in Longcheng. He is also very familiar with the Zhangzhou War Department, and local snakes like Wang Biao also obey orders. All kinds of informants are all over Longcheng, so there is no problem with safety. Qin Feng naturally had no objection. He was not welcomed in the Ye family. He didn't want to return to the Ye family. Moreover, he had always thought Ye Wuwei was dead these years and lived in confusion every day. Now Ye Wuwei appears again, and Qin Feng has regained his vitality. From now on, if you follow Ye Wuwei, you can take care of him. Seeing that Qin Feng had no other opinions, Ye Wuwei immediately arranged for Gu He to escort Qin Feng to Dragon City. Soon, Furukawa escorted Qin Feng away. It didn't take long. Tianjia led the people from Wanyashan out of Kui clan land. The Kui clan's land has been razed to the ground. Tianjia's body was filled with evil energy, and he said cheerfully, brother, none of those warriors ran away. A dragon solemnly clasped its fists towards Ye Wuwei and said respectfully, Senior, fortunately you have lived up to your fate. Ye Wuwei nodded to the two of them, then looked at a dragon and said, Wanyashan takes action this time, and the punishment from heaven will not be forgotten. The reward will be delivered within a week. There are so many people here, and the people in 10,000 Demon Mountains have some mental problems. In order to prevent the matter from being leaked, Ye Wuwei did not want Wanyashan to participate in the operation against the Tianjia. Ye Shilong was overjoyed, clasping his fists and saying, Senior, see you soon. Everyone in Wanyao Mountain immediately followed and saluted Ye Wuwei. Then, under the leadership of a dragon, everyone in 10,000 Monster Mountain left. By this time, the sun had already set. Night falls slowly. After Ye Wuwei looked around at all the spectators, he left with Tianjia and Ye Lu. The Kui family, the powerful divine capital in the central region of Great Xia, was destroyed. Chapter 97. I saw the clan land of the Kui clan, the powerful lord of the central region, being razed to the ground. All the spectators were silent. God's punishment. Divine punishment. These two words are deeply engraved in everyone's mind. All those watching the battle had a premonition that the reputation of heavenly punishment was about to spread throughout the world. After all, a force with a strong warrior in the martial saint realm is an existence that countless forces are afraid of no matter where it is. There is a question in everyone's mind: why did such a powerful force emerge just now? This secrecy method is too perverted. The Kui family in the divine capital has been destroyed. Add heavenly punishment's name to the taboo list, and you can only make friends with them, not fight against them. The heavenly punishment has at least one strong person in the martial saint realm and one strong person in the martial emperor realm, and they are all people with monstrous combat power in that realm. Many spectators suppressed their shock and conveyed information to the rear. Text messages flew to all parts of Daxia, and countless powerful leaders were horrified. The leaders of the major forces outside the region and the heads of state also received the news. I was both shocked and frightened by this rising power in Daxia. Outside of Daxia, there is a tyrannical temple of punishment guarding Daxia. Now there is another heavenly punishment in Daxia. I just hope that this heavenly punishment will not be as nosy as the temple of punishment. Otherwise, the space for activities of extraterritorial forces in Daxia will be greatly reduced. Most of the spectators were delivering messages to the rear. Some of the spectators had already followed the direction Ye Wuwei left. Among these people, there are people from the Tian family. However, Ye Wuwei and the others were too fast and had too much anti-tracking experience. Not long after chasing, these people lost their target. At the same time, heavenly home. In the lobby of Tianjia, Tianya, the head of the Tianjia family, sat on the throne. On the seats on both sides. Sitting on one side were senior members of the Tianjia family. Sitting on one side were a group of mysterious people wearing black robes. Through the black robes, you can vaguely see that these mysterious people are wearing Japanese warrior uniforms. One of the old men in black robes with the most powerful aura has a very distinctive feature, that is, he has a mustache on his chin. The identities of these mysterious people are about to come out. Seeing Tianya's frown, the old man in black robe with a mustache said calmly, "Master Tian, don't worry. The Kui family is not a core force. If it is destroyed, it will be destroyed." The old man in black robe is quite proficient in Daxia dialect, but the pronunciation of some words is always a bit awkward and has a little Japanese flavor. If you ask him to say he who knows the current affairs is a hero, he should be able to identify the ingredients. Tianya glanced at the old man in black robe and said nothing. He doesn't care whether the Kui family in the capital of God is destroyed or not. He was worried that when Kui Wuhen was about to die, he would kill everything and sell the Tian family. If Kui Wuhen sold the Tianjia before his death, the heavenly punishment would definitely target the Tianjia. By then, all the wealth and prestige that the Tian family has accumulated over the years will be gone. After all, it is a force with strong men in the martial saint realm. Thinking of this, Tianya let out a long sigh. In the final analysis, it was all due to the stupidity of the group of warriors who surrounded and killed Ye Fan. He was able to survive even a certain death situation. They were just a bunch of stupid pigs who failed to achieve anything but failed. Who would have thought that Ye Fan would not only survive, but also grow to such a level? If I had known that today's situation would happen, I should have taken action myself back then to avoid future troubles. However, there is no regret medicine in the world. The siege against Ye Wuwei back then was actually Qiling's test of the Kui family in the divine capital. As long as the Kui family is willing to send people to surround and kill, it is equivalent to handing over a certificate of surrender to Qiling and officially joining the gang. Several other forces involved in the siege were in the same situation. The more forces involved in the siege, the more chaotic it will be. Although there were many people, communication was poor. After being pursued and intercepted at all levels, Ye Wuwei finally found a glimmer of hope and escaped. Buzz! At this moment, Tianya's phone vibrated. He quickly took out his phone and looked at it. His heart gradually relaxed and a smile appeared on his lips. Haha, okay. That Ye Fan was too decisive. He didn't even interrogate Kui Wuhen and directly killed him. Now Tinpu and Wanyao Mountain have left the Kui clan. The direction they left is not the direction of my heavenly home. Tianya breathed a long sigh of relief. At present, Ye Fan does not know that the Tian family was also involved. Okay, you can rest assured now. The only strange thing is that the group of warriors we sent after the demon sect suddenly stopped chasing them halfway and then disappeared into pieces. What's strange about this? Their main target this time is the Kui family. Warriors other than the Kui family will naturally not pursue them if they can't catch up. That makes sense. The tense heartstrings of all the Tianjia senior officials relaxed, and smiles appeared on their faces. That Ye Fan was still young and energetic, he killed too quickly. It seems that no matter how high his force value is, he is just a reckless man. In these years, I probably only practiced martial arts and forgot to exercise my brain. This kind of person is the best to deal with, you can easily kill him. After hearing everyone's words, the old man in black robe slowly stood up and said, since everything is fine, let's leave. If you stay here for a long time, you risk exposure. These men in black robes came to Tianjia under the orders of Qiling's senior officials. If something goes wrong, these people will escort the core members of the Tian family to leave Chengdu and fly out of Daxia from other cities. Tianya quickly stood up and said with a smile, thank you so much this time, Mr. Watanabe. The old man in black robe shook his head, said a few casual words, and then left the Tianjia lobby with a group of men in black robe. Tianya immediately gave a few words to a Tianjia senior executive and asked him to arrange the vehicle. He himself saw off the guests personally, all the way to the side door of Tianjia. There are many people on the other side of the main door, so it is much more hidden if you take the side door. Soon, the motorcade arrived in front of everyone. When these men in black robes were about to get into the car, a cold voice appeared, where are you guys going? Then, a man wearing a devil mask fell from the sky and landed in front of Tianya and others. This person is none other than the master of the demon sect. Jun Wuxi. Seeing this uninvited guest, Tianya's face darkened and he said coldly, who are you? Jun Wuxi shook his head lightly, it doesn't matter who I am. A senior has ordered that you cannot leave this place. Now, get back. Jun Wuxi's tone was calm, but it contained an unquestionable tone. The old man in black robe and Tianya looked at each other, their hearts shaking. The aura of the person in front of him already gave people a very tyrannical feeling. How strong should the senior he mentioned be? Chapter 98. Evil Mask. Tianya looked at the evil ghost mask on Jun Wuxi's face with a confused expression. I seem to have heard of the evil ghost mask somewhere. Suddenly, Tianya's body trembled and he remembered. The intelligence said that when Jun Wuxi, the leader of the demon sect, appeared, he was wearing a devil mask. However, Kui's situation at that time was too complicated, with many forces coming in and many changes happening. The fact that Jun Wuxi, the leader of the demon sect, was wearing an evil ghost mask was only mentioned in passing in the information and was not described in detail. When Tianya read the information, he didn't focus on this. Are you Jun Wuxi, the leader of the demon sect? Tianya's eyes flashed with cold light and he said coldly. Jun Wuxi nodded lightly, not bad. As the leader of the demon sect, he didn't even bother to lie. So what if you know your identity? Seeing Jun Wuxi nod in recognition, Tianya's expression changed drastically and he took a step back nervously. Mr. Watanabe, kill him quickly. The senior he was talking about is Ye Fan. Tianya does not have the strength of Kui Wohen at the martial emperor level. He has been practicing martial arts for many years and is only a first-grade grandmaster. As soon as these words came out, all the men in black robes became nervous. Hey! A group of men in black robes took a step forward and revealed their samurai swords hidden in their black robes. Seeing this, Jun Wuxi waved his hand. Swish, swish, swish. Sounds broke through the air. The magic sect master hiding in the dark appeared and landed next to Jun Wuxi. Mr. Watanabe held a samurai sword in his hand, stepped forward, and slowly drew the sword. The sharp sword light appeared, reflecting the soul-stirring cold light. This man's name is Watanabe Taihei, a very famous swordsman in Japan. So many little Japanese. The corners of Jun Wuxi's mouth slightly raised under the mask, and he sneered, I didn't expect that the Tian family would secretly have a connection with Japan. Kill. With an order, all the strong men from the demon sect remained silent and went straight to kill the Japanese warriors in front. Neither side shouted loudly, but the brutality of the fight was even bloodier than the previous battle at Kui's in the demon sect. Watanabe Taihei Shen shouted, you guys leave quickly. After that, he went straight to kill Jun Wuxi. The thick and intense killing intent was overwhelming, causing the hearts of the warriors around to tremble. This Watanabe Tehi is also a strong man in the martial emperor realm. Boom! Jun Wuxi was not afraid, and a terrifying aura erupted from his body, vaguely suppressing Tehi Watanabe. Dang dang dang! Boom! The two great martial emperors were extremely fast and rushed into each other in an instant. Jun Wuxi did not hold a weapon, but wore a pair of black gloves on both hands. This black glove looks ordinary, but it can withstand Watanabe Taiwa's sharp blade. When the two collide, they can actually make the sound of gold and iron clashing. The airwaves generated by the fight between the two martial emperors rolled crazily and swept in all directions. The surrounding flowers, plants, and trees swayed greatly, and many tiles on the roof fell off. Seeing this, Tianjia quickly returned to Tianjia. He grabbed a senior member of the Tianjia family and said quickly, "Pass my order. All direct personnel must gather in the lobby immediately. Don't bring too many things, we don't have much time." Yes. Realizing that the building was about to collapse, the Tianjia senior executive responded in panic and quickly walked away. Not long after, the two old men came to the lobby in a hurry. Two old people, a boy and a girl, are Tianjia's parents. Tianjia's father Tianjian asked anxiously, "What happened? Why do you have to leave so suddenly?" Tianjia's face was expressionless and he said in a deep voice, "If you offend a martial saint, you must leave immediately. Otherwise, everyone will die here." Martial saint? Hearing the word martial saint, the heavenly sword felt like it was struck by lightning. His old body staggered back 2 steps, and he burst into tears instantly. Tianjian pointed his crutch at the end of the world and roared heartbreakingly, "Beast! You beast! I shouldn't have left the Tian family in your hands. You actually brought my Tian family into a place of eternal destruction." Tianjia didn't seem to have much respect for Tianjian, his father. He sneered at the corner of his mouth and said coldly, "Beast! You have wanted to shout these 2 words for a long time, right?" Tianjia's mother Sizialan looked at Tianjian coldly and said sternly, "He is a beast, then who are you? Tianjian, are you confused?" As soon as these words came out, Tianjian suddenly looked up to the sky and laughed, very sadly. "Ha ha ha! You're a BCH too. The BCH gave birth to a beast, as it should be." The direct members of the Tian family who came after hearing the news were all shocked when they saw this scene. How could a family that used to love each other become like this? Sizialan looked at Tianjian who was in an emotional breakdown, her face turned pale, and she suddenly understood something. Her face turned pale, her lips trembled, and she burst into tears. Tianjia is not Tianjian's biological son. Turns out he knew all along. When Tianjia saw his mother being humiliated, he became furious instantly. "Are you looking for death?" Tianjia kicked Tianjian in the chest. The latter flew out directly and hit a pillar heavily. Puff! Tianjian spat out a mouthful of old blood, his breath weak. After kicking out, Tianjia also realized his gaffe. He turned to look at the direct descendants of the Tian family, including his wife and children, and said coldly, "Get ready to leave the capital of God." The words just fell. Boom! There was a violent explosion from the side door. The beams in the lobby of Tianjia are shaking. Tianjia's expression changed. "Ye Fan is here? Call out!" Boo-hoo-hoo! Sounds broke through the air. A group of strangers appeared outside the Tianjia lobby. The leader was none other than Ye Wuwei. Ye Wuwei was holding a person in his hand. This person is naturally Watanabe Tehi. However, Watanabe Tehi was now covered in blood, with a blood hole in his chest, and he was still vomiting blood in his mouth. He was extremely miserable. Seeing this scene, Tianjia's scalp felt numb, and his heart seemed to be grabbed by a big invisible hand, causing bursts of pain. Is this the terrifying strength of a strong man in the martial saint realm? This Watanabe Tehi is Emperor Wu. At this moment, he was being held in someone's hand like a little chicken. Tianjia suppressed the horror in his heart and said in a trembling voice, Are you Ye Fan?" Ye Wuwei's voice was cold, "Are you Tianjia, the head of the Tian family?" The pressure given by Ye Wuwei was so strong that Tianjia didn't dare to answer for a while. Whoosh! There was another sound breaking through the air. Ye Yi, who had never shown up, came to Ye Wuwei. "Boss, he is Tianjia. When the demon sect took action not long ago, the suspected locations in Qingyan were breached by our people. The information collected at those locations is on its way. Ye has been lurking near Tianjia and didn't show up until now. Upon hearing the word Qiling, Tianya's expression changed drastically. These people are here for Qiling. That small stronghold that was suddenly bombed in the morning was their fault? Ye Wuwei nodded, looked towards Tianya, and said coldly, "Is there anything you want to explain? If the information you provide is valuable enough, I can leave you a complete body." Tianya suppressed the fear in his heart and said in a trembling voice, "The matter is over, there is nothing more to say. If you want to kill or behead me, please do as you please." Ye smiled coldly, "Nothing to say. Who is your biological father? Isn't it a very interesting topic? According to my investigation, the Tian family took off after you became the head of the family. In just a few decades, to be able to be compared with established families such as the Kui family in Chengdu and the Li family in Chengdu, your biological father's status in Daxia is not low." When Ye sneaked into Tianjia just now, he happened to see a scene happening in the lobby of Tianjia. Based on the information he had in hand, it was easy to deduce some problems. Hearing this, Ye Wuwei's eyes lit up. This Tianya's life experience is actually weird. In just a few decades, the Tian family has been supported to its current height. His biological father is indeed very powerful. Enlightenment. Tianya's biological father. Tianya has been working for Qiling. Could it be that his biological father is the traitor hidden among the senior officials of Daxia? Chapter 99. Shut up. In the lobby, Tianya's body was shaking, his eyes were red, and he roared angrily. Ye's words were like a sharp knife piercing his heart. Tianya's biological father is the biggest secret in his heart. Even his wife and children don't know this secret, let alone the Tian family. Ye revealed this secret in front of so many people. It was equivalent to Ye tearing open his scar and spreading a pinch of salt on it. Ha! Are you angry because of embarrassment? If you don't want others to know, you have to do nothing. Ye had a sneer on his face. Tianya's anger is like the incompetent rage of a clown after being exposed. The more angry he gets, the more he proves the truth of what he said before. Tianya's body was trembling, and he roared, "It's nothing, it's fabricated out of thin air. You can kill me, but you can't insult me." These two sentences, Tianya said categorically, are quite credible. Ye pointed at Tianjian, who was still sitting on the ground, and said coldly, "Even if you are a beast, you can't do anything to hurt your father. You don't regard Tianjian as your father at all. I guess in your heart, the biological father who gave you glory and wealth is your good father." Hearing this, Ye Wuwei and others looked at the heavenly sword with bloodshot eyes hanging from the corners of their mouths, feeling slightly surprised. This turned out to be the old head of the Tian family. According to Ye, the injuries on the old head of the Tian family were actually caused by Tianye. Even if he is not the biological father, he still has the kindness to raise him. It is indeed worse than a beast. At this moment, the heavenly sword chi is like a gossamer. With blood bleeding from the corners of his mouth, he muttered, "Retribution. It's all retribution." Seeing this, Ye Wuwei led everyone into the lobby. Ye Wuwei did not deliberately control his momentum. The terrifying power emanating from his body made Tianya turn pale and keep retreating. However, Ye Wuwei ignored Tianya and walked to Tianjian. Looking at this miserable old man, Ye Wuwei said slowly, "Who is Tianya's biological father? Tell me and I will help you avenge your shame." His voice was very plain, but it gave people an unmistakable flavor. Tianjian slowly raised his eyelids and smiled miserably, "Are you, the martial saint he offended?" Ye Wuwei nodded, "Not bad." Tianjian's eyes slowly moved to Si Ziolan, "You have to, ask her. The words have not yet fallen." "Don't want." Tianya's roar suddenly sounded. Ye Wuwei looked sideways and saw Si Ziolan bumping her head against a pillar in the Tianjia lobby. Bang! Blood surged from Si Ziolan's forehead, and soon her whole face turned red. Tianya rushed to Si Ziolan, held her in his arms, cried bitterly, and roared, "Mom, Mom, why are you so stupid?" Si Ziolan struggled to look at Tianjian, opening and closing her lips. Although she didn't make a sound, everyone could see that she said 3 words. "Sorry." Then, Si Ziolan's neck tilted and she died in Tianjian's arms. Seeing this scene, Ye Wuwei frowned. Tianjian may not have met Tianya's biological father, but only knows that this person exists. Si Ziolan must know who that person is, but she has to keep the secret even to the death. Ye Chao Fan. Tianya looked up to the sky and roared, looking at Ye Wuwei with blood-red eyes. Then, he looked crazy and actually took the initiative to kill Ye Wuwei. Snort! Tianjia snorted coldly, unsheathed his sword and dodged his body. A bright sword flashed by. Tianya let out a scream, and his forward momentum came to an abrupt halt. His legs had been neatly chopped off by the evil spirit. Tianjia naturally knew that Tianya was seeking death, so he did not kill him with one blow as he wished. Tianya, who had lost his legs, was writhing in pain in the lobby, letting out heart-rending wails. When everyone in the Tian family saw this scene, they were all frightened and turned pale and trembling. Many people even become incontinent and have feces and urine flowing out. Devil! This is a bunch of devils. Why did Tianjia offend these people? Everyone in the Tian family was in despair, and their hearts had long been shrouded in the shadow of death. Before today, who would have thought that the aloof head of the Tian family would end up like this? Who could have thought of the once arrogant Tianjia? Even the Kui family and the Li family in the divine capital are somewhat afraid of the Tian family. At this moment, he has become a piece of meat on someone else's chopping board. Stop! Who dares to cause trouble in the Tian family? At this time, a roar of shock and anger came. Everyone followed the sound and saw a tall and burly figure jumping quickly in the darkness, and soon arrived outside the Tianjia lobby. This man has a domineering aura, is dressed in a military uniform, and has a face that is not angry but is intimidating. Behind him, groups of heavily armed military masters came quickly. This person is the Commander-in-Chief of the Central Region War Department. Zhongxing. Seeing the scene in the Tianjia lobby, Zhongxing was furious. Forcibly breaking into Tian's home and hurting people wantonly, do you still have the law in your eyes? All combat teams immediately surround the Tianjia lobby. Yes. All the uniformed soldiers shouted and quickly occupied the surrounding commanding heights. Various weapons were aimed at Ye Wuwei and others. Ye Wuwei squinted at Zhongxing and said in a deep voice, "Who are you?" Zhongxing took a step forward and shouted coldly, "Commander-in-Chief of the Central Region War Department, Zhongxing. I advise you not to resist stubbornly and to be captured immediately." Ye Wuwei ignored him, but looked down at Tianya, with a cold voice, "Tell me honestly who your biological father is. Otherwise, you will realize how difficult it is to die." Seeing that Ye Wuwei ignored him, Zhongxing's blood rushed to his head and his anger surged wildly. Just when he spoke angrily, a commander stepped forward and whispered a few words in Zhongxing's ear. Hearing this, Zhongxing's expression changed drastically. He stared at Ye Wuwei, and said in shock, "Are you people who are punished by heaven?" Zhongxing did not recognize Ye Wuwei and others immediately because he did not go there when the Kui family fought. The orders from the War Department headquarters directly bypassed him and went to a general under his command. It is naturally impossible to say that Zhongxing is not feeling aggrieved. However, he still did his job well and led the people from the Central Region War Department to patrol the divine capital. After all, there are too many forces pouring into the divine capital, which poses a huge security risk. Not long ago, someone reported that there were sounds of fighting on the Tianjia side, so Zhongxing rushed over with his people. Zhongxing frowned and said in a deep voice, "You have a grudge against the Kui family. The grudge is over, why did you come to Tianjia to cause trouble?" Ye Wuwei glanced at him and said coldly, "The hatred against the Tian family is even greater. You, the so-called Commander-in-Chief of the Central Region War Department, are extremely incompetent. The Tian family has committed so many things under your nose, do you really not notice at all?" Hearing this, Zhongxing's anger burned again. He has been conscientiously doing his job well, and no one in God has said anything wrong about him. Now a group of thugs who rely on force and ignore the law are accusing themselves of being incompetent. This is the greatest insult to Zhongxing. Zhongxing gritted his teeth and shouted coldly, "I would like to know what things the Tian family has committed under my nose." Ye Wuwei walked straight to the main seat in the Tianjia lobby and sat down, saying calmly, "Then we will hold a trial here to let you know." After that, he looked at Ye Yi and Tianjia and said to them respectively, "Bring those people up. Take Tianya down and greet him well." The information about Qingyan was still on its way, and Ye Wuwei took advantage of this gap to deal with a group of people. If Tianya doesn't let go, then let him have a taste of the torture methods used by the Temple of God. Ye nodded and immediately issued an instruction. Tianjia carried Tianya towards the back of the lobby. Swish swish. Soon, a series of sounds broke through the air. All those people captured by Ye Yi were brought to the Tianjia lobby. Chapter 100. The people Ye captured were from all walks of life. These people are all big bosses in various industries and have great say in God. These people naturally knew Zhong Xing, the commander-in-chief of the Central Region War Department. Commander Zhong, help! These thugs are so crazy, please help us. Commander Zhong, do it quickly. These arrested bigwigs from various industries regard Zhong Xing as a life-saving straw. They were too scared to let go of anything before, but now they were frantically calling for help. Zhong Xing just frowned and said nothing. There is a strong man in the martial saint realm in Tinpu. Obviously, he is the one sitting in the main seat. When a strong person is willing to reason with you, that is your luck, so cherish it. Once he takes action without being reasonable, many people don't even have a chance to kneel down. Ye Wuwei looked at this group of so-called big guys, pointed at the person who yelled the loudest, and said, "What's going on with him?" Hearing this, Ye took out a piece of paper and said in a deep voice, "Wu Ming, chairman of Bright Media. Controls many newspapers and magazines, and has supported a large number of warriors for a long time. Our newspapers and magazines have long published false statements, manipulated the direction of public opinion, and fanned the flames to deliberately cause public dissatisfaction. Once someone stands up and points out a problem, the warriors they support will go out to deal with the person who pointed out the problem. 3 years ago." Ye's voice was cold, as if a judge was reading out Wu Ming's charges one by one. Gradually, the industry bosses stopped asking for help, and all of them turned pale with fear. Especially Wu Ming, his body was shaking violently and he was sweating like rain. How did he know so much top-secret information? Wu Ming did not dare to interrupt Ye. After Ye finished speaking, he shook his head desperately and said tremblingly, I didn't. Sir, you must have made a mistake." Hearing this, Ye frowned and became furious. "Are you questioning my intelligence capabilities?" He controls the intelligence network of the Temple of Death and is Ye Wuwei's eyes and ears. Wu Ming's questioning of his intelligence capabilities was the greatest insult to him. Seeing Ye getting angry, Wu Ming was so frightened that he waved his hands repeatedly, "No, no, no. I don't dare. I mean, how about you check it out?" Wu Ming and others could see that it was useless to ask for punishment, and now they could only rely on themselves. Ye Lang shouted, "Cha-cha! The evidence is conclusive, I'm still going to investigate your mother." "Boss, what should I do with this piece of shit?" Ye was really angry. Even the top forces in the world dare not question his intelligence capabilities, but such a little maggot dares to question him. If he wanted to, as long as he had enough time, he could dig out all the 18 generations of Wu Ming's ancestors. Ye Wuwei said coldly, "Kill him." "Yes." Ye nodded heavily. After saying that, he quickly stepped forward, amidst Wu Ming's frightened begging for mercy. A palm hit Wu Ming's head. Click! Wu Ming's spine was shattered and he couldn't even scream, so he died on the spot. Ye is not a combatant in the Temple of Punishment and rarely does anything himself. But for this Wu Ming, Ye wanted to kill him personally. Seeing Wu Ming's death state with bleeding from his orifices and bulging eyes, other industry bosses were frightened to death. How terrible! These people are absolutely devils. Zhong Xing clenched his fists, looked directly into Ye Wuwei's eyes, and said solemnly, "Even if he deserves to die, he shouldn't die in your hands. Leave them to me and I will make them pay the price they deserve." Ye Wuwei's face was expressionless and his eyes were indifferent, and he said, "Leave it to you. If you were really qualified, how could you have allowed them to roam freely in the city of gods for so long? You." Zhong Xing's blood surged up and his chest felt tight with anger. Shenzhou is the capital of Longzhou. These are matters managed by Governor Longzhou, and he does not know about them. Ye Wuwei looked at Ye and said, "Continue." Ye nodded and named someone at random, Zhang Taiping, founder of Taiping Group. "The 3 security companies under my command are nominally engaged in security escort business, but in fact they are secretly engaged in smuggling." With the lessons learned from the past, Zhang Taiping naturally did not dare to question Ye's intelligence capabilities. However, he changed his mind and said in a trembling voice, "Yes, yes. I admit that I have done these things. I am willing to accept the punishment of the law, please let the law punish me." Ye smiled coldly and waved his hand. A temple-killing warrior stepped forward and stabbed Zhang Taiping through with his sword. Zhang Taiping looked at the blade protruding from his chest in horror, his eyes filled with unwillingness. Boom! Zhang Taiping fell heavily to the ground and lost his breath. Then, Ye transformed into the judge of the underworld. They were called one by one and all their charges were read out. Once the reading is over, it is their end. Zhong Xing was very angry at first. But gradually, the anger turned into shock. These people have done so many things secretly. Moreover, they were all ordered by Tianya, the head of the Tian family. What surprised him the most was that there were actually people involved in the Central Region War Department he was in charge of. With the last scream, the trial ended. All the industry leaders have lost their lives. While Zhong Xing was secretly shocked, he suddenly felt a line of sight falling on him. When he looked up, he found that the person looking at him was actually the Martial Saint Realm expert named Ye Wuwei in the main seat. Ye Wuwei looked at Zhong Xing and asked, "Does he have any problems?" "Zhong Xing, are you going to judge me as well?" Ye shook his head, "I have investigated this person and there is no problem. He just has a weak brain and is stubborn in doing things." "Zhong Xing." Ye Wuwei nodded and asked, "How long will it take for Keiling's information to arrive?" Ye pointed outside the lobby, "Here we come." On the big trees outside the Tianjia lobby, black shadows were moving around on the treetops, quickly approaching the Tianjia lobby. These people are the members of the Anbu of the Execution Temple. They all also wore masks on their faces. Soon, everyone in the Anbu came to the Tianjia lobby and handed the captured information to Ye. Then, everyone in the ANBU left the Tianjia lobby and disappeared into the darkness. Ye read the information very quickly, and he could see 10 lines at a glance. His brain is like a high-speed computer that quickly extracts truly valuable information based on the top-secret information he knows in his mind. 2 minutes later, Ye looked at Ye Wuwei and frowned, "Boss, Keiling's headquarters is not in Daxia, but in Japan. All the spearheads are pointed at the Japanese royal family." Japanese royal family? Ye Wuwei knows better than anyone how strong Ye's intelligence ability is. He was born to do this. Even Ye knew much more top-secret information than Ye Wuwei. Ye said it was the Japanese royal family, so he couldn't be wrong. Ye Wuwei stood up suddenly and shouted, "Issue an order to kill the Japanese royal family." When Jun Wuxi heard this, his heart skipped a beat. Want to take action against the Japanese royal family? Zhong Xing's eyes widened. This is too courageous. Ye said softly, "Boss, the Japanese royal family is located in Kyoto, the capital of Japan, and is guarded by a large army. I'm afraid it will be difficult to succeed. Moreover, the various forces in Japan will not sit idly by and ignore it." Ye Wuwei said in a deep voice, "No matter who it is, if they dare to block the road, they will be shot to death. If the entire Japan blocks it, then kill Japan." "Yes." Ye said no more and immediately arranged for someone to issue a killing order. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you are notified of future uploads. You can find the next parts in the playlist visible on the screen or on my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.